Talora Tales. Our party arrived back at Messidore after their triumphant outing to slay 2 ogres and retrieve the stolen cider, also rescuing one of the injured dwarves of the merchant caravan. As they do return to Messidore, they go about their own business a fair bit, but there is a debriefing back at the guild where Camus tries to get a somewhat thorough discussion of what events might have taken place, getting varying versions of events from each of our amazing heroes. The evening winds down the first day they are back as they are brought out to celebrate at the Barge, a local restaurant where Camus treats them to a fabulous meal, and Ayla is somewhat plied by Quinn before escorting her home, where a sneaking suspicion of being followed arises, but does not really go anywhere before Quinn finds his way back to the guild. The next day, the party do a few different individual tasks. Thomas and Sven go to the Academy of the Arcane, trying to see what their local branch kind of looks like. Quinn, you did the insurance fraud when you checked in with Boma and Koval. So you secured a very hefty bag for 2 somewhat despaired individuals, and hopefully that will help spur them in their next leg of life. And Braynoon, you kind of stuck around the guild hall, kind of organized a few things, got a few things in line, just kind of, chilled, had some good vibes. Eventually, as they spend another day kind of going about all these tasks, they decide to pick, or not quite pick yet, but at least investigate a bounty that is, or assisting in a bounty where a human bounty hunter has found his way to Messidore in search of a infamous thief, a gnome thief known as Longfinger. And apparently this criminal, or potential criminal, I suppose, has been bolstered by a few local gang members, which has put the bounty hunter at a little bit of a back foot. So now he's leaning upon our champions for a potential advantage on his side. After a very brief discussion at the Southern Crossing Tavern, it appears that our heroes are taking the contract and turn back around to, I'm assuming, accept the deal with Jolin. I will go ahead and show you guys one moment. I made some fabulous art for our wonderful ally here. That is Jolin's foil. And I imagine all of you are hoping that looks can be deceiving at this point in time.
It inspires confidence.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad. That's almost exactly what I pictured.
But yes,
Looks
you all
happy.
are, at the, I guess, returning to the table after a little secluded powwow. And he all asked for your names, which I imagine you all would have given him. But we can kind of pick up in that conversation unless there's anything else you want to specifically do. All right. So after he gets all of your names, which he seems to actually remember and take note of versus kind of asking them out of courtesy, he looks you all over once more and kind of eyes each of you with a more inquisitive look, kind of looking up and down, checking your gear and your equipment and your general appearance, and kind of points over at Thomas. He's like, let me guess, magic user. And then he points over to Sven, magic user. Points over at Quinn, low-key bod. And then points over at Braynoon, Navy man with big weapon.
Spot on.
I mean, 50% isn't bad, depending on what you're talking about.
Well, before I get into the details of what I know, now that we have established a bit of trust, I hope, I do want to have a general idea of what your skill sets are, so I may potentially use them. Don't all speak at once.
Okay, well, we have a mage, a blade singer, mage, a fighter, and somewhat mage, and
Yes, well, Quinn is quite
roguish. Yes.
A bard.
I'm sure the poems that you can recite are excellent.
If I may, um,
They're all about your mother.
Well, I'm sure they are rather scandalous then.
so to brass tacks, do you know whereabouts he may be?
Well, I guess I will give you my information and we will discuss your skill sets later, because apparently we are not in a talkative mood currently. The best of the situation that I have. I've tracked Longfinger here, and I more or less have tracked him to a brewery over in the Dwarven Canals, I think is what they call them here. I haven't actually seen him coming in and out of the brewery, but his right-hand man I've seen come in and out. And the new people, or gang, or muscle that he's picked up also seem to be residing in there, for lack of a better term. I then went up with the manager that owns the brewery, and he says they're doing routine maintenance, which I imagine means that he has been potentially bought off, or maybe even the man above him has been bought off. But for whatever reason, Longfinger is interested in this brewery, therefore I'm interested in this brewery. My first thought was, hey, maybe next door, there's a bank. There is no bank next door. There is nothing of interest next door. There is nothing of interest within 2 blocks of that brewery, which was a very dead lead. So then I watched the brewery some more, got frustrated, tried to talk to some of the newer recruits, which then disappeared. I have not seen them leave the brewery since. Not a great sign. So I've been running quickly out of options.
You should talk to Quinn. He's really good at investigating things.
If he hired some local muscle, then we could ask around, do some checking.
Certainly.
Just to point out, a brewery, produces, but where's the party? Where's it going?
Well, I've not seen them bring anything out. I think that's one of the more confusing aspects of this to me, is they just seem to stay in there, and they come out to get food and supplies, but they don't do anything.
Well, you may have noticed that Brainun's a dwarf, and he might be able to go and do dwarf things. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he'd do anything different than us, but
No, it's a good idea, Thomas. Brainun, do you have any experience in infiltration?
No, not exactly.
Well, I thought that my cleverest ruse so far is I did grab I guess you'd call them a hobo elf, a homeless elf. Anyway, I hired him to pretend to be an inspector, and he got inside the building, and I had him go take a look around, and he said that he didn't find anything out of the ordinary.
So they're not barring entry to everyone, they're just barring entry to you. If
Well,
they were
no,
letting an inspector in with, I'm assuming, no credentials.
Well, I let the inspector in because they're doing routine maintenance, which we both know is not happening.
But how did this elf convince them that he was an inspector?
Well, I told him to tell them that he was sent by the man in charge, and perhaps there was a mix-up, and they let him in.
Question: do you have any paperwork of, like, a wanted poster, anything like that for Mr. Longfinger?
He reached back and he has like a backpack down his side, pulls out a scroll, pulls out the wanted poster that he, refers to. It's stamped and sealed. He's like, I also have my license. He pulls out another scroll and drags that out. And it's a very lengthy written document, but it's a signature at the side and then another seal at the bottom. And would it be good at this point to describe, I guess, the general understanding of bounty hunters' range of responsibilities and whatnot?
Yeah. Jolin, I can call you Jolin.
Yes.
What exactly do you need us to do?
Well, I've run out of options on my end. I can't get any more information. I can't go barging in there. I can't find what is going on. So at this point, I'm about ready to just go in there and start killing people. And then if Longfinger's in there, great. If he's not, then we'll figure out where he went. And as long as they have affiliated with him and I can make proof of that, then they fall under his jurisdiction? Yeah, words.
But if they're not criminals, we shouldn't kill them.
Well, I know for a fact that his right-hand man, Fugar, he certainly deserves a poke. He has a bounty on him, but we call those copper bags. Not worth it.
Well, I suppose we should go check out the brewery.
I think we can also go about this like thinking people and just see what the word on the street is before we kill a building full of people.
If that's even possible.
Oh, you all look like violent and threatening individuals.
Thank you.
I am certainly not opposed to information gathering. I just cannot find another source.
Did he give us the name of the brewery? I missed that if he did. Or did he
Uh,
just say he's holed up in a brewery?
Yeah, he just says hold up in a brewery.
Okay. I'd like to know more about this Longfinger. You say he's here to steal something. You say he stole things other places. I'm not saying I don't believe you, but that means he has some sort of pattern of behavior. What sort of things does he steal? What sort of marks are his target? Who does he usually go after?
The thing you want to know about Longfinger, and one of the reasons that I find him fascinating and both despicable, he's, I think, what they call a warlock, or something of the sort. He is attached to some infernal, hellish, evil thing. They call them patrons, I think. And he uses these abilities to turn into shadows, to phase through things, to know things, to do all the fun, magical stuff that I guess you and I cannot, or I suppose you cannot, because we have not gone over your skill set. But anyway.
No. Don't crack wise about us not being talkative while you bury a lead, like the target being in league with hell.
This is what a discussion is about. I am offering this information as it is being asked.
As it's being asked,
Well, I asked
You're the
about your
client.
skill set, and you went, huh.
you're the client. Dump the info.
Okay.
Sir.
We can. I'm terribly sorry. We can start again on a better foot. I am a divination mage. I'm rather useful at telling fortunes and some minor battlefield control and limited damage options and very little physical options. Sven, what do you
Yes.
specialize in?
As Thomas said earlier, I'm Bladesinger, magic and form mixed, and he'll flourish his blade. And obviously, one of those, I'm very important. And he has it quite right. A couple of magic uses at your disposal. Quick question, however.
Well, hold on. Let's give him what he wants so he can stop being so ruffled.
Yes.
Braynoon or Quinn, would you?
Ex-Navy, blacksmith, able to wield most weapons, augmented with some arcane abilities.
I'm what they sometimes call a second story man.
He can jump on you from the second story with his blade and stick you right between the eyes.
Thomas, I
And
believe
you'll never see it coming.
he was trying to be sneaky about it.
So that's a concise recounting of our capabilities. So now we've answered your questions.
Thank you, Thomas.
I believe my friend had a question for you.
Yes, Jolin, where is the brewery? And we'll go take a look. I think at this point, maybe best to have eyes on the situation, rather than just thinking and talking.
Well, I imagine that's where we're going after we divulge all the information that I have.
Proceed.
So,
Thomas takes out his notebook.
Quinn, did you have any more questions before I continued?
Just everything.
All right. So yes, he is in league with some sort of damned thing, and he uses it to have his way. The things that he's stolen, they vary quite drastically. The jewels or antiques or family valuables, he's basically just ping-ponged from one place to the next. There's not really a pattern of where he goes, and when he showed up here and I got wind of it, here I am. So, I don't think there's anything that we can assume or find some sort of lead in that direction. There is rumors amongst the people that have tried to pursue him, which most kind of die out after a while and assume more or less that no one is ever going to truly capture him. He's just going to turn into shadow and never get turned in anyway. That whatever thing that he leans upon, whatever magical demon he pulls his energy from, gives him his targets for some other reason, some other purpose. I don't know if I buy into it. I think he's just doing it to line his own pockets, but it's potential information that you may want to know.
I can talk to demons.
Great.
I've done it before.
Thomas, what?
I did.
Do tell.
Later.
Okay.
So is there any more questions before I guess we go to the brewery?
I'm
Alright.
ready when everyone else is.
I must cast major armor on himself.
All right. So then at that point, Jolin would guide you back outside and across the city. So the Dwarven Canals is what you kind of see up in that northern section. I will go ahead and ping it for you all. Make sure, yes, it is being shown on the map. And when, the elves and the dwarves had their entrance into Talora at the same time. And so when the dwarves came over to Runathosi, they kind of latched onto the major settlements and populations. And so there's always kind of like a city within a city in most elven urban areas. And so the Dwarven Canals is kind of that for Messidore. It's probably like 80-90% Dwarven population. It also holds a lot of the less heavy industry docks. Like there's a lot of, merchants and fishing and kind of like more, I don't want to say exotic seafaring business, but that's the general vibe. So that would be the location that you all are kind of heading towards. All right. Give me one moment.
As we get closer, I'll start comparing what I'm seeing with where I used to live. I could imagine it was pretty similar.
Okay. So we're going to go with that building there. But I drew it on the wrong layer. Give me a moment. There we go. So right there is where the brewery is going to end up being. So as he is walking with you all, he is taking the lead, but he does turn around every so often to kind of look the group over. And to those paying attention, it is pretty clear that he's like looking you all over with a bit of not judgment, but trying to, suss your general, I guess, approach or demeanor or canter. Easily assume that he's trying to be more familiar with who you are and how you operate. But he wouldn't strike up a conversation unless you all did, as he kept leading you forward. All right.
Do we happen?
Oh, go ahead.
Do we happen to pass any guards on the way over?
I would imagine so, yeah.
Okay. Could I glean some information out of them as to the whereabouts of Captain Kirith?
Yeah, I think that's pretty easy. If you did ask, they wouldn't have like a precise location for him, but they would refer you to the like general like main guard administration building in Old Town, and that would probably be either where he is or where someone who knows where he is could be.
Okay, and that's somewhere in the center island thing.
Yeah, that is that building right there on the western side of that little island.
Okay. Okay, good to know.
So eventually you guys would be wove through the streets of Messidore, and he would begin to kind of slow his pace right before you're about to turn the corner and look back at you all. Well, we are here. The brewery, for your information, because I'm sure it's going to be the first question you might ask, is owned by the Knotted Beard brand. But I'm ready to go in there and just get this over with, but I imagine you all want to go poke around.
You could say that. Why don't
Very
you
observation, yes.
kick back? You can be on the lookout.
Quinn, I know we're getting along just famously already, but I do want to remind you that this is my bounty that you are assisting me with, and not your bounty that I am watching you handle.
And I want to remind you that if you could do it on your own, you wouldn't have come to us. So you need our help? Let us help.
All right.
Mr. Sparkles would work his way out of a pocket and come up on my shoulder and kind of look around and sniff the air. Getting ready to... I think he gets the idea that he might be employed here in a moment.
Well, I will stay here and watch.
Looking around, what are the businesses and or buildings in nearby proximity to the brewery?
So
What are we looking at?
Like directly across the street from it, it seems to be almost like an apartment block kind of building. Very tall, lots of windows, very kind of, I guess, systematic in design. Over to the western wall of it, there seems to be what you would assume is like a service road or maybe some sort of like unloading area where there's like two big, large doors that lead into the brewery itself, which again, you can kind of assume is where they take all the large parts of a brewery in and out. Or maybe like where wagons might pull in. On the far right-hand side of it, I guess like its neighboring building just down the block, you can't quite tell. It's some sort of shop. It's not clear from the outside, but it's has like nice glass display windows in the front. So.
I'm looking around at Thomas is looking around at the adults in the group, like just waiting to see what Braynoon and Quinn are gonna do.
I have an idea. I assume the workers would need to quench their thirst after a long day. Mr. Dolan, do you know of a tavern? Close proximity?
Are you talking about the brewery workers?
Yes.
I don't think they're in there anymore. Hence them being shut down for routine maintenance.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, I don't know about you, but I have heard that those without jobs often turn to drinking and complaining about that.
Unless they've been well compensated to not work.
Which in and of itself would be quite a story. Um, how about, Thomas, do you want to join me? We could go sniff out some clues around and see if
Really
we
don't-
hear anything.
The last time we split up, you almost got eaten by spiders.
True.
I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I don't know, Brainoon, do you think you could rub shoulders with a few folks and see if your dwarvish countenance can maybe get a little information?
I was intending to see what that shop next door was, see if we could get any information from there. I'd also like to see if perhaps there's an empty apartment across the street that we might be able to temporarily rent.
Are you all planning to host a party for them?
we're working on the plan right now.
All right. I have been watching this place for a week and a half now. It's not going to change anytime soon.
Hmm. Okay.
I'm
Well-
going to leave the group. And anybody that I'm not trying to give the cold shoulder to anybody that wants to follow, but
Quinn, if you're gonna go, Mr. Sparkles could come with you. I could see what you're seeing.
If you'll
Yeah.
give me a minute, Quinn. Is there an alley I can step into just so I can take my chain shirt off and look less adventure-y for a few minutes?
Yeah, I imagine there's enough of a secluded spot to
Yeah.
find, yeah.
I lose the naval jacket, lose the chain shirt, put that all in my bag, and I'm actually going to hand that bag to Jolin, hand him my warhammer. If you'll hold on to that for me for just a bit.
I've been promoted from an observer to a pack mule.
Unless you'd like to join me.
I'm happy to join in on my own job, but it seems like you all want to answer questions that you have.
Well, you haven't been able to, so we'd like to get answers from someone.
I have these answers. The thing I can't do is fight 8 men without any help. Hence why I brought you here.
Well,
And I
if
think we'd like to avoid fighting 8 men if we don't have to.
or at least confirm that the guy is actually in here.
Go confirm. I will stand here and wait.
I'll put my hand on Sven's tail, and it's standard, so I've got that. Just Sven, just don't walk too fast, okay? And I'll put myself into Mr. Sparkles, and he'll just walk over by Quinn's foot, look up at Quinn like, "Hey, buddy."
Sven,
Yeah,
do you
I'll,
have a tail?
yeah, I did not think Dragon kind
Thought you had a
do.
tail. I thought you had a tail. Okay,
Um,
I grab your robe. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
no, it's
no.
okay. It was just a question that I hadn't answered yet.
Important lore questions.
Yeah, yeah.
If it's just
So-
a vestigal nub, then that would get weird quick.
Just a little squeeze on the behind there. Don't jerk it too hard.
So I'll pick Sparkles up, and he can ride on my shoulder.
Okay.
And I am going to covertly do a lap around the brewery, looking for a perhaps a point of ingress or a way to climb the building.
Okay. It is a single-story structure. There is like, it appears to have kind of a main room and like a side. Maybe it was an addition, or maybe it was kind of built this way initially. But it's a smaller kind of entryway, and it's clear like any sort of front-end business is kind of done in that smaller section. The larger square room or rectangular room that you assume is kind of the main workroom of the building has a southern window, an eastern window, and a northern window, with the west wall holding the giant 2 doors for moving the larger things in and out of. The little extra room is kind of tacked onto the northeast corner, and that also has a window and a door to enter for doing business.
I want to get to an out of the way place and try to climb to the top of the building.
Okay.
And
What?
I think I actually did buy. Yeah, I bought grappling hook and rope to match my picture. So I'll use that if just to make it a little easier.
Well, let me ask what your intention is, and then potentially also, like, are you worried about the noise you're gonna make?
Well, I'm going to do it stealthily, but I want to see if there's a way to peek inside from the roof, or maybe to get Sparkles in from the roof. Also, I like to climb things, so
Yeah, so my first question is, I don't know how stealthily you can throw a grappling hook to have it go land on something, right? Because you're just throwing a heavy metal object.
well, I'll climb without it if it's a big risk.
No, that's-
Single-story building shouldn't be impossible.
Yeah, well, and then if your intention is to find a place to get in or look in, it is just a like a slate shingle roof. There's not like a vent or a thing to go to.
Well, shit.
There are the windows, but they do appear to be like curtains closed.
Are there any other buildings I can climb?
I mean, you can climb the building. I won't stop you, but I'm just trying to make sure there's a reason for it if you want to.
Parkour, maybe you've heard of it. No. I'll go to the southern window, sneaky like,
Mhm.
and lift Sparkles to the window.
Okay. Give me a perception check, and I also guess Sparkles, give me a perception check.
That's gonna be a 23.
Hey, good start.
Let's see here. 17.
Okay. Quinn, as you get up to the door, when you're kind of walking around the building, you could hear very kind of vague noises coming from the structure itself. Nothing like super clear or identifying, but just the just the general like noise of hearing someone inside doing something, right? When you go up to the southern window and stand kind of close enough that you can maybe try and peer in, or at least hear what's maybe on the other side of it, there is a kind of muffled conversation that you can hear, and then the very distinct noise of like playing cards being like flipped and slapped and kind of shuffled around. And that would be the first thing that you kind of can, I guess, perceive.
I think I'm still gonna lift kind of lift Sparkles to the ledge, to the windowsill,
Mhm.
and let him peek in.
Okay, I'm not trying to be annoying, but it's a closed window with the blinds drawn. What do you mean peek in?
Oh, I thought there was just like only a curtain over the window. It's got glass and all.
Oh, yeah, it's like full windows with like blinds on the inside drawn.
Oh, okay. Well, shit.
I mean, you could try messing with the window, but I'm just trying. I think I'm not explaining things enough.
Is Sparkles able to hear anything that a human might not be able to with his animal senses?
I think the only thing that would give Sparkles outside of what Quinn could hear, because I would probably even argue that Quinn's perception, like his hearing and his half-elven ears, are probably more perceptive than Sparkles. But Sparkles' nose is certainly a lot more attuned, and so he would smell the thick smell of what I guess you would assume a brewery would smell like. Strong alcoholic odor and like rich herb kind of smell.
We found it.
This is why I want it on the roof, because I won't. There has to be a chimney, a smokestack, a vent of some kind if they're brewing things in there.
Brewing does require boiling, which requires heat, so.
Fair enough. Yeah. In my mind, I just pictured they opened the doors, but that isn't honestly that realistic. But okay, well, I'm down to retroactively add a vent to this building.
If it's just a shitty brewery, then that's okay.
Yeah.
It's
They
the
smoke out
brewery
their workers
designed by a
every-
man who's never worked in a brewery, so I did not foresee the need for a vent.
Okay, so you mentioned a second door.
Mhm.
That was, I forget what side it was on.
There's the
delivery
double
entrance.
doors, yeah, on the west, and then there's the front door that leads into what you assume is kind of their like front end business over on the east.
Okay, so I'll go to that door on the east. Because if they've closed the place down, there's probably not anybody manning the front.
Mhm.
Or
So,
there's less likely to be somebody manning the front. So I'll go to that doorway and listen and snoop.
so when you walk up to the door, the first thing you notice there's a piece of paper nailed to it, and it literally just says "Sorry, closed," like handwritten, very sloppily, and then just nailed straight to the wall. As you actually, or to the door, when you step up to the door, and I'm imagining you're kind of like trying to listen in, there does seem to be the sound of like paper shuffling on the other side, and if you listen long enough, maybe like the groaning of like furniture kind of coming through.
All right, what does everybody else got?
I would like to investigate around the area for a tavern.
Okay. Can you move your mic back to your mouth, sir? Thank you, sir. I'm assuming like nearby, like the general area, not like next door, correct?
Yeah, whatever's close.
Mhm.
Because you said there wasn't one right next to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So yeah, whatever I can find within a block or so. Just kind of touting Thomas's slightly slow body.
Oh yeah, I forgot because Thomas is currently within Sparkles. Okay. Yeah, I mean, so the closest in proximity is kind of it's probably another brewery or something close to it that has a much more defined or built up, I guess, like front end or restaurant or I don't know the right term I'm looking for, a service center, I suppose. It is the Wing and the Fly.
What are clientele looking like? They have some money, or is this regular Joe, blue collar folks?
So when you first walk up to the building, the actual like front building where there's a long bar that stretches on the, I guess like the front wall of this structure, the I can't think of terms today. The barrier between you and the street is just a bunch of like kind of grand looking French doors that are all open to have this very kind of almost like patio sunroom kind of esque feeling to it, with a bunch of different tables kind of sat around. There's perhaps maybe like 10 to 11 people at the bar. They all seem in somewhat decent, I guess, like financial standing, judging by their clothing and what they're doing. It's probably about, again, like 80% dwarves, and there's a small mixture of elves and other things in there.
Might be what I need. Then I'll saunter up and flag down the old bartender there.
Kind of shuffling over, slaps a heavy, muscly arm on the bar, and kind of like has to look up at you because you're probably like a bit too tall for the normal clientele, and he kind of like does a lazy look over at Thomas, so then back at you, like, yeah.
Yes, I was hoping to wet my whistle, if you will, and I fear I've run out of leaf for my pipe, and he'll slap the pipe up onto the bar as well.
You can read, right?
What does it say on the, I assume, a sign?
Well, the sign for the, I guess the establishment is what he points to. He's like, we serve beverages, not tobacco.
Yes, but surely you must have something on hand.
Beverages that you drink. Do you want something?
Yes, fine, 1 ale. And I'll slip him a silver piece.
1 ale coming up. Kind of goes back, clearly somewhat confused at your approach.
Alright. Well, that didn't pan out the way I was wanting. I guess that's not gonna work. See if I could buy any drugs from him.
Every bartender, known drug dealer, confirmed.
Well, it happens. I usually know a guy. Okay, yeah, nah, and then he'll just chug down the ale and head back. He's still got his block of incense. You know what the hell? I head back to the brewery. Brandon, are you hanging out outside still? Have you headed up into that apartment or the store?
Probably shortly after Quinn started his investigation, I would have started down the street.
Okay.
I'm just gonna kind of be walking down the street. I will notice the sorry close sign on the brewery. Just for clarification, is this strictly a brewery or is it a brewery tap house? Like, do they serve in this building, or is it strictly like a sales distribution type of thing?
Looking at the size of the building and like that size of the little offshoot room, it probably is just like their like business interaction space. It's not like a restaurant or like a sit down kind of establishment.
Gotcha. So yeah, I'll notice the sign and then walk on. Before I walk into the store that's next to it, I kind of look at the windows to kind of get an idea of what sort of store I'm walking into.
Okay.
But not the brewery, but the store next to the brewery.
Mm-hmm. Getting a little bit closer, it is not difficult to figure it out. There's a little bit of like, it appears to be some sort of maybe floral shop, or at least a general kind of, I guess, botany is the right term I think I'm looking for. Yeah.
Not quite an herbalist, but pseudo type.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's just like the front windows are covered in plants. Like the walls have like ivy and stuff growing on the inside. There's plants hanging from like the vast majority of the ceiling. So
Gotcha. Yeah, so I just kind of walk in, and I'm assuming there's a front desk counter type of thing with somebody nearby. So I'll just hang out there until somebody if they're not there, walks up.
Mhm. Well, as you step in, you hear like a little chime kind of come out from behind you, and you
Yep.
like look up, and there's actually no bell. So, being brain noon, you can more or less kind of piece together that some sort of magical implement has been placed here.
Right.
And as you step in, you hear like a call from the back room, and then like a clay pot kind of tipping over, and then a bunch of cursing and a little bit more shuffling. Eventually, a dwarf will come around the corner, and he has like strikingly bright red hair, thick, full beard that has like twigs and leaves and flowers kind of all stuffed in it. And you very quickly realize it's more used as like a pin board for keeping certain project that he's working on. Like there's like a flower that he was kind of like examining. He just kind of sticks it in the beard. He comes back, like slicks back his hair that has clearly not been washed in some time. He's like, "Welcome to the bloomin' beard, buddy. What you need? What you want? You got a sweetheart? You look like you got a sweetheart."
I will also note that before I came in, I would have made sure that I took my Ember Boar Guild signet off, and I actually have my Trading Guild signet on.
Okay.
Apologies for interrupting your day. I was actually hoping anything you could tell me about the Knotted Beard Brewery next door. I see they're closed. Only in town the last few weeks, hoping to get some information about when they might be reopening. You being their neighbor, and I know that businesses talk. Happen to know when or who owns it that I could get in touch with them?
I could probably fish back the name of the man. I don't know. He's the slick talking type, and I don't like them. He came in here, it's like my promotion opportunities and working together, and I'm doing fine by myself. Anyway, some of the guys over there, they're pretty decent. They come in and I give them some things, and they tend to enjoy them. Some things to chew on, if you catch my drift. But I haven't seen them in about a week or so, maybe 2 weeks or so, I think. I don't know, but they came in here when they closed, when they were starting their maintenance, I think is what they said. And they were throwing around a good amount of coin. They bought out my stock, but that's fine. Yes, that's about all I know. I think they said it was going to be a month or so when they're back up.
All right. I'll appreciate it. Looking around, is there like any? I just like a simple like bouquet of flowers or something. If there's something already put together that I could purchase, however much that'll be. That's I'll take that. And I have a friend that I might send your way for some of those things you mentioned. So
A friend.
I don't partake myself, but I know he's been searching since we arrived in town. So, but yeah, I thank you for your time. I apologize again for interrupting your day. I'll let you get back to work. Been very helpful. Thank you.
Who are you giving the flowers to?
Just say it's for Ayla.
Okay. He kind of like shuffles back to this. It's more of like a workbench than like a desk or
Right,
like
yep.
a countertop. And he starts like pulling little drawers out. No, shoving them back in. No. And he pulls out like what looks like, I guess, like a small metal, almost kind of gold looking like plaque or plate. And he's like, kind of like shoves it against his chest. There's a little bit of like fussing and manipulating. And then you just hear this like crunch. And he kind of, yes. And then, Ayla. Yes?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
With an E?
I believe it's an A. It's a relatively new relationship. I'm not entirely sure.
Is she potentially, blind?
I don't believe so. She really likes to read.
Fuck. Kind of throws
Tell
it
you
away.
what, just leave the tag off. It'll go over better. So
I don't know. You can always keep your options open that way, just in case.
thank you. Do appreciate that. Let's
Okay. Yeah.
and I'll
He'll
turn around
charge
and
you
walk out.
2 silver for it.
Okay. Adds a level of legitimacy to my going in there.
So
Jeez, I forgot.
as you return to Jolin with the bouquet, he just kind of like how's the investigation going?
Well, seems that the workers of the brewery were paid off to take some time, about a month. So it seems that they're settled in for quite a while. The owner of it seems to be a slip businessman, and so likely easily manipulated by your thief with the promise of coin. And I made a new friend.
Ah, well, that's the true treasure.
Relationships are important in getting things done.
That's why I've established such a great bond with you all.
I've noticed.
So,
Yeah,
Quinn
I'll
and
just-
Sparkles, are you up to anything currently?
Yeah, so I think I've decided to play. So I mutter to Sparkles, get ready. And then
He digs
Sort
his
of.
claws in.
no, not just yet. Hang on.
Loosens the
let go.
claws.
There we go. And I put him around like the small of my back underneath my cloak and say, okay, now get ready.
He digs his claws in.
And then I pound on the door before trying to swing it open.
Okay. As soon as you pound, like on a second knock, you hear like a kind of loud clattering on the other side, and then someone going, "Fuck! Ah, shit! Fuck! Like, one moment!" Like a few more seconds of fussing, and then you would hear him get up from potentially, I guess, a seat of some sort, and then eventually come to the door. It would be locked if you tried to open it, and you would hear, and then the door would swing open, and you'd be faced with what looks like maybe some sort of like watered down tiefling, potentially might be the term to use. He's clearly some sort of tiefling or some amount of tiefling, but he's a lot more human in his appearance. His horns are very short, his features are a lot more plain, his skin is more the kind of tan versus the variety of colors that tieflings can be known for. And he's also probably on the younger side, mid-20s, maybe late 20s at best. But he kind of like opens the door, peeks through, like, "Did you read the paper?"
I read the paper. The brewery's closed? What the hell? Why is the brewery closed?
Maintenance. Yeah, maintenance.
Maintenance.
Yeah, you know,
None of the workers got to get back to work.
well, when we finish cleaning the barrels and the pots.
Cleaning the barrels and the pots. I'm gonna try to push past him to get inside.
Are you like trying to force him?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want in.
Give me athletics. I guess this will be opposed.
20. Dirty 20.
Okay. Nope. All right. Certainly not ready for you to come barging in. Clearly, maybe the potentially previous people that he's messed with or had to deal with, not having such a confidence. You kind of just step through him as he tries to lean on the door for support, but it basically only manages to pull the door even wider open. At this point, it's probably best. I will do. One moment. Okay, you guys should see nothing currently. Nice. Perfect. Now I will take our resident bard, Quinn. And... There we go. So, as you push past and into the small space, you can very clearly see that there's just a really small, welcoming greeting room of some sort. There's a desk kind of right in front of you. There's a bunch of papers sat on it. You can see that potentially the commotion that you had heard as you bung. Not bung is not a word. I'm sorry. There's
It's not that word.
There's a tankard of ale like spilled over some of the countertops, and papers and mail have kind of already begun to soak. But he kind of like stumbles back, not quite losing his footing entirely, but kind of leaning on the counter as he maintains that space.
And when I hear that bit of commotion, I'm gonna drop from below the cloak behind him and try to scurry out of view.
All right.
Underneath the table or something.
Okay.
Once I feel him go, I'm gonna turn back to the guy and just sort of get in his face and take up his whole perception and say, I want to know why we weren't told about the closure. You think you can close a whole brewery, send all the workers home with no notification?
Who the fuck are you?
Are you new to this business?
I'm the maintenance guy. I'm not here. Who are you?
The maintenance guy. Okay. What kind of wood are the barrels made out of? Huh? How old are they? What do you seal it with?
Oak, wood, glue.
Uh-huh. I know a poser when I see one.
At this
Are you
point,
new in town? Did you just get off the boat? Have you seen this place? This is a big city, okay? This is not some still in a barn out in the sticks. We have a little thing here called the union, okay? And you don't send the workers home for an indefinite period and not tell the union nothing.
at this point, you see like one of his eyebrows kind of twitch, and you see his expression go from like astonishment and kind of confusion to a little bit of like frustration. And as you start like going off, and you can see his like posture kind of getting more aggressive, he kind of leans over to the counter where there is I guess you could probably qualify as like a dagger, is kind of like propped up against the ledger that he was reading. He just puts his hand on it. He's like, I don't know who you are, and I don't want you here anymore.
Clearly you don't.
No, I don't.
Oh, you're gonna stick me? You're gonna stick me with that thing? Listen,
I might.
I work in the Brewers Union. You think it's the first time I've been threatened with a dagger? Please. All right. I came on a little strong. I can't tell you what kind of day I've had, what kind of week I've had. Another new guy in town, right just before I came here, left him trying to talk business. He's a smart ass with a smart mouth. I hate it. Amateurs. Can't work with him. Anyway, I'm sorry. All right. Let's start over from the beginning, okay? Because nobody told me nothing about any maintenance, about any closures. All right. The guys down at the dock, they've got quotas to meet. You know, they want to know why their guys aren't working, why they aren't loading kegs. It's a whole thing, all right? So, and I'm going to take this point now and sort of look like I'm gesturing emphatically. I'm talking with my hands, and I want to try to see what I can see, like do a visual sweep of the room while he's watching me talk.
Am I able to hide away?
Give me a stealth with advantage, Sparkles.
For Sparkles?
Yep. And yeah, Quentin, give me
yeah.
perception. Dude, you've thrown my brain for a loop right now. My mind is trying to just comprehend what just happened.
22.
Perception is 18.
Okay. So Sparkles, as you drop down to the floor, Quinn is like adopting this presence that you have not quite seen from your befriended bard. As you go scurrying off to the west, there's like a kind of almost like a sample cask that's kind of set up in front of it, and you kind of like run under that and then behind it, and then it isn't like a closed fronted desk. There's like actual room underneath it, so you just kind of go squeezing under that and wiggling a little bit further. There is the door off to the northwest of the room that probably you could squeeze Sparkles through. It might take a little bit of like really squishing, but as far as you're aware, you're under the desk and you're hidden.
Yeah, if there's any room under it, he should be able to kind of flatten out and do the little But so that's what I'm going to try and do with him while the other guy in the room's distracted.
Okay. So Quinn, as you are looking around the room, is there anything specific you're looking for, or you just want a general description?
Just a general description for now.
Okay. So there
If there's
was
something that obviously has nothing to do with the brewing business, then that,
Mhm.
yeah.
So there is a like big fat ledger that was set out, and just at a glance, it looks enough like a business ledger that like, yeah, it's probably either was there or, should be there. The letters and whatnot seem to be, as far as you can tell, like an accumulation, I can't speak today, of potentially like unread or built up messages or mail. It seems they kind of just been like haphazardly continually tossed on the counter without anyone actually like looking in on them. Now they're somewhat ale soaked. There's a grouping of tankers at the end of the counter, which appear not to be, I guess, like a staple of this room. They more look like tankards that have been used and just kind of like left there after like use after use after use, like someone might have been there for a while. And then there's the window off to your east, which has a nice little flower arrangement, potentially thanks to the business next door, leading off outside. And that would basically be it as far as this room. Okay. Go ahead and give me persuasion. I'm going to say, Quinn, and I will adjust the challenge rating for getting under the door stealthily based on that.
11.
Okay. So, Sparkles, you still want to try and squeeze under the door?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a stealth roll then.
Straight or
Yeah.
with
Straight.
it? Okay. Okay. Another 19.
Does he get a dex bonus to that at all?
Well, it was 16 plus 3.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So Quinn, as you are still kind of holding the space in this room, the unnamed man in front of you kind of like still on edge about what quite to do or how to handle you. You do see him kind of like look over at his daggers to make sure he like still has his hand on it. And as he looks, he sees the kind of like blur of motion out of the corner of his eye, and he's like about to look, but he's kind of like conflicted. He doesn't want to like change his attention away from you because there's some weird energy coming off of you. And he like catches something but doesn't quite acknowledge it as he looks back at you, and you just kind of like, you see him getting really itchy, like kind of like his whole body's kind of fidgeting as he's really trying to figure out like what his next move is about to be. But Sparkles, you would be able, as far as you're aware, to squeeze under the door, unspotted, not spotted. I'm gonna go ahead and use Thomas's token as Sparkles for now, and you can move him around, but I will drop you there, and that should, reveal more for you. All right. So real quick, I guess we will deal with Quinn. After your lengthier outburst, you kind of like takes a moment, kind of like looking back and forth between your eyes. He's like, I don't know who you are. I don't have my boss here. If you could leave and come back later, I would greatly appreciate it, because I don't know what you're talking about.
Come back later. Do you know what kind of schedule I have this week? I barely had time to come over here today. Look, is Boom Boom here? If Boom Boom's here, he always knows the score. He can fill me in. I know you're new. Maybe you haven't met him yet. Boom Boom, big guy, drinks as much as he makes. Look, if he's here, then you can send him out, or I can go talk to him, and I'm gonna like sort of go around the desk like I'm gonna.
As you go to move again, he actually like picks the dagger up. It's still sheathed, but he has it in his hand at this point. He's like, I think it's time for you to leave.
I gotta go back with something, okay? I have to know some kind of timetable. I gotta know what to tell the guys, when the guys at the dock can expect to start loading, so that they can move on to another load, another ship, okay? Anything. Can you give me anything? Some kind of date, some kind of time.
I can give you a fucking knife wound.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, you're a funny guy, all right? Listen, I'm going to get worse than that if I don't go back with something. I need a date. Days of the week, you know. Sun goes up, sun comes down.
We were told a month. It's been,
What?
2 weeks? 2 more weeks. I don't know. Is that good? That what you need?
2 weeks. All right.
2 weeks.
I'm going to be back. I'm going to be back after 2 weeks, okay? Because everybody's got a schedule to keep. I got a schedule to keep, and I got to tell them something, okay? You know how it is. With the boss, you say you have a boss, he's not here. When he comes back, he's going to want to know all kinds of shit.
Yeah. Like, what's your name?
I'm Charlie.
Charlie what?
Charlie Bruin. Bruin. I know. Ha ha ha. Brewers Union. Bruin. Yeah. I've heard them all before. Okay. That's how the guys remember me.
Give me a deception check. Charlie Bruin. Oh.
That is, where's the bonus? A 15.
Oh, come on, sir. Don't. Oh, fuck. I'm so sorry I rolled for you. He certainly looks skeptical, but he still has not really had enough time to really process what's going on. He's like, all right, Mr. Bruin, I'll let my superior know.
All right. And hey, listen, study up, okay? You got to at least know what to seal the barrels with, all right? It's not glue, okay? I know you're new. It's okay. We were all new. We all lied on the interview to get a job when times are tough. Don't worry about it. But you got to look it up before you start working, at least, okay? It's going to taste like ass if you don't get it right. And around here, we take that kind of stuff seriously, you know? Brewing is serious business, if you can't tell.
Yes, very serious. Yes, sir.
All right. Tell Boom Boom when you see him that his friends on the north side want to hang out again real soon, okay? All right, be good.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He would just
Love
be
it.
baffled as you turn to leave, but at least he would be somewhat relieved and set his knife back down. As I'm assuming you leave the room.
Yeah.
All right.
And when I'm confident I'm not being watched, then I'll sneak around to the north side of the building and wait and hope that Sparkles comes out that way when he's done.
All right. Sparkle's my boy.
All right. So Sparkles comes in here. Are these lanterns?
What, off to your west?
Like this right here?
That is a lantern, yes, and a window right above you to your north. Do you want me to describe the room to you, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you squeeze under the door and you hear Quinn taking on this fresh new personality, Charlie Bruin, you go scampering a little bit deeper, and you are in the kind of larger warehouse storage facility room of the building, the main room of the building. There are these large, barrels and casks kind of lining the walls and set up. There is a central table that's clearly like almost like the production line or some sort of assembly or just workspace that like the main energy of the room goes through. Down to the southeast, as you're kind of scampering across, kind of getting a quick glance around, you see 4 humanoid individuals kind of sat at a more or less like a table and bench situation, and they're all kind of playing cards. You can see the general hand motions of that, and there's a little bit of conversation, but they are pretty bland as far as like what you would imagine guys hanging around playing cards are. It's kind of dead over there. Besides that, you would spot that double large exterior door for loading and unloading off to the west. And you would also see that the southwestern side of the building is either sectioned off for some other room or purpose, as there is a smaller interior wall down there.
Am I imagine I'm able to stay pretty well concealed behind these barrels.
Yeah, I don't even think I'm gonna make you roll a stealth check because they're just not paying attention, and you're literally a weasel.
Okay. So I'll dart. Yeah. So I've circled around here and seen what I can
Mhm.
see. Um, that's a door that way.
You got to use more than that way.
I'm sorry, to the west. Yeah. Right
Yeah,
there.
yeah. The double doors, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to, as quietly as I can. I'm assuming this is an oil lamp.
Yes.
I'm gonna knock it over.
Okay. I'm assuming with the purpose of starting a fire
Mm-hmm.
in a brewery.
Yeah.
All right. So as you snuffle around the northern window and you hear your companion leaving that front room, you're kind of like sniffing around it, kind of poking around it, kind of getting up on the crate that it's on. And as you're giving it a little bit of a shove, kind of testing it, I'm assuming, are you shoving it off the crate onto the floor?
What I'm gonna push it over so that the oil runs out of it and hopefully catches on, uh, runs off onto the crates that it's on
Mm-hmm.
and catches fire there. I don't want to. I'm trying not to make like a crash or anything.
Okay. As you are like getting behind it to give it a push, Sparkles is large, but giving a lantern a push at this size is kind of a task. The man that had been interacting with Quinn comes like pushing through the door. He's not really at first paying immediate attention as he's like trying to process what just happened, but he looks up, he spots Sparkles / you at the lantern, and you just see like this look of like, what the fuck am I looking at as you're about to push the lantern?
Sparkles will scream at him in his most intimidating screech and push the lantern and then dart under the table.
Give me intimidation with disadvantage.
A natural one.
All right. So, as he steps through the room, or steps through the door into the room, he looks up, spots Sparkles. Sparkles does its best impression of a beetle trying to fend off an eagle. That's totally an analogy that fits. And he just looks so incredibly baffled for a minute before he just turns into this like blur as he sees the lamp beginning to be tipped over. And it does hit the ground and actually like break, and the oil begins to kind of seep out of it. The flame just kind of threatening to lick it as he comes over and just basically kicks it off to the side, preventing it from actually like lighting the oil. But he spots Sparkles running under the table and he shouts across the room. He's like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. There's a goddamn weasel in here. And you see all the four like leaping up from the table and start like moving towards the center of the room.
All right, I'm gonna run behind the casks here, and I'm gonna stay hidden until they like. Are they able to look under it or behind it very easily?
They would have to move the cast
All
themselves,
right.
which are pretty large.
So I'm gonna stay there for the moment. I'm gonna pop out. I'm gonna tell Sven, if you're gonna do anything, there's a distraction in there right now. There's about 5 of them that are coming towards me. Good luck. And then I'm gonna go back into Sparkles.
Give
and
me a
just
stealth
wait.
for Sparkles real quick.
And that's just a straight roll.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, 21.
Okay. So as you go darting into your little corner and you snap back to Thomas, quickly speaking to Sven and snapping back into Sparkles, when you come back into Sparkles, you hear, there wasn't a weasel. I saw the weasel. I saw it. It kicked over the lamp. You must have kicked over the lamp. There was a union brewing. And they're just like shouting at each other at this point as they're like turning over crates, looking under things, like taking their weapons and kind of jamming them in little empty spaces trying to figure out where Sparkles is.
I think that would be a good moment for Sven and Thomas to kind of pop back over to Braden and Jolin, and oh, yes, well, no luck on my end. Anything, Braden?
Sorry, I'm more astounded that you said nothing about the message Thomas just gave you.
Yeah, I didn't find anything at the bar.
Oh, that's no. Sorry, brain fart on that one.
Thank you.
Let me just Braden, real quick. Thomas just said he started a distraction inside the building. I don't know if we want to force entry or something. Have you seen Quinn?
Not since he left with Sparkles.
Jolin's just kind of looking at you like, okay, I assume you're gonna need this, and starts handing you back your
Yeah,
equipment.
when I arrived, I would have taken
Yeah.
everything back. I wasn't gone that long.
Well, my thought is I can possibly get us through the double doors over there. But
Can
I
you
don't.
send a message to Quinn?
Oh, well, that one may be tricky. Let me think here. Okay, I can try, and he will attempt to send a message over to Quinn.
Mm-hmm. The range is 120 feet on that?
120 feet, and I don't really know where he is, so I guess I'd just be kind of.
I mean, I also
Quinn,
would assume if Quinn's
Yeah.
waiting at the north end of the building, he's
Mhm.
hearing some of the commotion inside, but I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah. Well, we're gonna do a lot of jumping around right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so go ahead and send your message then.
Yeah, so, just Quinn. Well, you Quinn. Just kind of send out multiple messages trying to see if he's pointing in the right direction.
Quinn, as you move around to the north end of the building, you hear this crash. Guys, there's a fucking weasel in here! And as this is going on, you kind of like sneak closer to the window, and then you just hear in the back of your mind, Quinn!
So I don't know whether it'll come through the message or not, but I'm sort of chuckling to myself, and then reply and say, "Yeah, I'm hiding on the north side. What's going on?"
Oh, when Thomas said he started a distraction, I figure if we're going to go in, it may be a good time now.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yes, Quinn is up on the north side. I think I may be able to get us through double doors if it's chaotic enough.
We can always just jump through the fucking windows.
Well, I don't want to get cut by glass. Thank you. These are nice robes.
You're made of scales.
They are nice robes.
Okay, come on, let's go. He just starts walking towards the brewery.
Here, hold on to Thomas, Brandon, for a moment. Thank you. And he'll scurry up quickly, thumb a bunch of incense into his pipe, and start getting a nice cloud going.
Mm-hmm.
And go up to the double doors and do a secret knock. 3 knocks, 2 knocks, 3 more knocks. And see if anyone answers them.
As you approach the doors, you hear a catastrophe going on inside. So your knocks probably aren't even noticed.
I mean, they're not soft knocks.
You're like banging?
Yeah.
Okay. Brandon, are you staying back? Or are you moving forward with this?
Prefer not to, but he gave me Thomas.
Yeah.
He's blind and deaf right now.
He can hear muted. If you need to get his attention, he can come back.
I mean, if you can still feel what's happening to you, I would slap you. So
Yeah. So as soon as that happened,
Okay.
what?
we're going, and Braynoon's sprinting
Yep.
down the road. I
Joel,
prefer to
yeah.
come in through the front door, but
So, Sven, as you knock on the door, one of them goes, "There's someone knocking! Got the weasel! No, there's someone knocking! Who is it? It's probably the frickin' Union guy!" And you hear a bunch more of, like, commotion going on before there are footsteps that, like, race up to the door, and you see someone grab, or you don't see someone, you see the doors, like, fling open, and there's a gentleman standing there looking up at you, and he goes, "What the feck?" And we'll take our 10-minute break there. Sven, as you go pounding on the door and you still hear everything kind of clattering around inside, a pretty rough looking dwarf throws the doors open, looks up at you, and just like, he also has no idea what's going on. Everything's happening all at once. There are like guys running back and forth behind him, like throwing crates around, shifting things around, wielding weapons, and he just kind of looks up at you like, "Who are you?"
I'm here for the party. And he'll fish the little rose ring that he found at the ogre cave out and be, Terabitha said there was an absolute rager down here.
Give
I've
me,
got the right brewery, I'm
give me
sorry.
deception.
And he will use his forceful presence, giving him advantage on that.
Okay.
I'm gonna need that. Dirty 20, okay.
As you see him almost like grab the doors and start the motion to close them again, he like, "What? Who? There's no party here."
And pulling out his now half block of incense, he's like, "Oh, sure. Looks like you're having quite a bit of fun back there. No cards? No gambling? What is this?"
Braynoon, Jolan, and Thomas, you are all following him, as far as I'm aware. Are you doing anything during this interaction?
I would no. Thomas is just waiting to see how this pans out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I got nothing.
Okay.
I'm just,
Yep.
I have no idea what's happening, so I'm just kind of standing there dumbfounded and confused.
And Quinn, are you taking this opportunity to do anything?
Waiting at the window for the sounds of battle.
How
Okay.
far away does minor illusion? 30 feet. 30 feet so as Sven is talking about a party, 30 feet behind him, I cast minor illusion, and you hear the sound of a woman laughing, uproariously.
Okay. Let me see if I snake you past the door here. How far do I have to get you before you can see? Hey, there we go. Just so you guys
That'll
can see
work.
inside the building. As he like glances over his shoulder and he sees some of his companions like are now underneath that like main like work table in the center of the room, and they're like shoving sacks past themselves, trying to like get deeper into like all the stuff kind of been stored down there for quite some time. You're like, "I saw it go over here. I saw it. It's under there. It's not under there. I saw it behind the cask." And the one like standing in front of you is just like, "I don't know what you. Can you come back later?" And he begins to like start trying to close the doors.
And then the woman screams.
"Oh my!" And Sven will try and, like, in a startled way, like, try and get in.
Okay.
Does he stop me?
I mean, yeah, he would try and stop you, just try to like roll past him, I suppose. You
So
guys make a
let's
great
see.
first impression, I swear.
Yeah, we're doing
Hey, how's it
great.
going? I'm coming in.
And let me see here. So as I'm like right up against him, I'm gonna pull my wand out of my robes and like stick it up against his stomach and quickly recite the incantation for hideous laughter.
All right. I guess it's time to roll initiative then. All right, gentlemen. Hit me with your numbers.
15.
14, which I feel is too high.
15.
9.
Okay. Quinn, Brandon, and I'll let Sven, you'll go before Thomas because you're kind of doing shit. I'm conflicted on whether or not I want to give you like surprise with this because he's not expecting it, but he's very clearly watching you. Here, give me a sleight of hand check.
Okay. Not too bad at that. 22.
If ever you had to roll high, brother, this is the time. What's his? Huh? He tied.
Well, then
Yeah.
you would
Yeah,
notice.
typically meter beat.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, I'll give it to him. I need to win every now and then. So, Sven, as there's a scream behind you, and you go to kind of like stumble and reach for your wand at the same time, he kind of just like has his arm on one of the doors and like uses it to like brace you as you kind of fall into it. And he's watching you. He like kind of gets a glimpse around the corner and sees that there are like other people like somewhat behind you, and then kind of looks back at you with a little bit more, I guess, not fear, but like more focus. And he like spots you beginning to pull your wand out, and he quickly reaches down for a sword at his belt and just tries to like slash at you as you are falling into him. So yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and do that. What is your AC, sir?
13.
All right.
He rolls a 7.
Okay. The
This
first
is
one
why I
hits.
love you.
My first one misses.
Yeah, as I saw him start to swing, I redirected the flow of time so that he wasn't as accurate.
As he's like going to draw this like crude weapon from his belt, he gets like halfway out before you see his arm kind of like not move. It's like sluggish almost in the air, and you see him kind of like look from you to his arm with this like panic expression on his face. He's almost kind of like willing his arm to move faster, where he gets his sword out and he tries to hit you, but like you're like almost kind of entangled in one another, so he kind of just like scrapes it against the back of your cloak and then tries to like bring it back and stab it into you, but kind of misses the blow as well, as you're both just kind of like tossing with each other a little bit. I think I will go ahead and give the other guards surprise, or guards, people, humans, men. I'm going to move them a little bit because they aren't actively watching this situation, so they will not act this round. So we'll be down to Sven. What would be your hideous laughter?
Yes, please.
Okay.
A wisdom saving throw of the old 14.
Okay. That is a failure.
Wonderful. Alright, so he falls down laughing. To which Sven will call it. Yes, the most wonderful jape, I know. And continue to push forward.
Are you trying to play it off as if combat hasn't happened and he didn't just try to stab you and you're just kind of laughing together?
Yes.
Okay. Give me deception. Give me deception with advantage.
Uh, 15. Could I have the advantage?
Jesus. Okay. As you see your spell take effect and you see like the sword in his hand kind of like pause in its motions to try and separate you from your life, he kind of like looks at you and his whole expression is just this like mixture of fear, anger, and then amusement, and then just outright hilarity as he begins like belly laughing. This like ha 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 ha, and he just like falls down on the ground. He's like filling the whole room with his laugh as everyone else, like some of them are under the table, like their asses sticking out. You see him like all kind of like look over as he just like falls back onto his back, his sword kind of clattering just like a few inches from his hand, and he is just like ha 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 ha, just like over and over and over again as you are playing off that you have just told some very impressive joke.
And Sven will. I can't move.
Oh yeah, sorry. You're trying to move inside, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You should be able to move now.
And just moving forward, I guess up to the next guy.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what a party you're having, and kind of hold forth the lock of leaf. Be like, anyone.
The guy who's like stepping past as he's catching his friend laugh kind of looks at him and then looks at you. It's like, what is that? Is that a drug?
Only the finest.
I mean, okay.
To the table. And if he doesn't stop me,
Mm-hmm.
like head over this direction and just literally yell out, "Drugs, anyone? Drugs!"
Drugs, anyone? He'll follow you. The guy at the table will follow. The guy in the back of the room, I guess, will watch, and the guy up north is still fishing under the table. The guy belly laughing, is just kind of like looking backwards, like his head kind of lolled back, watching them, and you can clearly tell he is trying to stop laughing to warn his companions that this drug-wielding dragonkind is not a friend, at the very least, but he's currently stuck in a situation. He can do the save at the end of his turn, start of his turn?
End of his turn or add
Okay.
damage.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess they are still surprised and distracted as we come down to Thomas's turn.
Oh shit. Shoot. So Thomas will run up and can I charm somebody that's under hideous laughter?
I don't see why you couldn't.
I'm gonna charm him.
Okay.
Try to charm person.
Mm-hmm.
That's the description.
There's no way it's a DC 10 wisdom save.
Yeah, no way. My save DC is 15 for my spells.
Okay. And it did not sound in the description, but it basically it makes them view you as a friend, right? Is the wording?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, he fails.
You should follow me outside and get some fresh air because it's really stuffy in there.
He currently
There's
can't do anything, but I guess he will take it under consideration.
He cannot stand up.
Yeah. Like, he can't even speak.
Is he charmed?
Yes.
Okay. And then I'll stand outside.
Okay. That brings us down to Braynoon.
I got nothing.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck he's...
I don't know what the plan is. I don't know what we're doing. So I'm holding an attack in case somebody comes at me aggressively
Okay.
and not moving.
Okay.
I'm making sure the doors are as clear as possible with a incapacitated individual in them, and I will let Jolin by if he wants to get around me, but I'm I'm almost as surprised as they are.
Okay. So, Brandon, as you kind of like pause and you're just trying to make sense of all the various pathways this interaction has taken, you don't really feel it at first, but Jolan just kind of slips past you, and you see a lot of like the jovialness that he was kind of holding is gone. There's just like kind of straight thin line across his lips. He's holding a rapier in his hand, and he just kind of like glides past you, and he would step up to here, and he would just look at the guy still like rolling with laughter, look over at Thomas, and then just stab him.
He was gonna come outside. You didn't need to kill him.
Oh God. Okay, one moment.
Should attack with advantage, if I remember correctly, if that
Yeah.
helps.
Yep. No, he rolled critical and an 18.
Wonderful.
Yep. Okay. So, Brandon, you watch him step by. Thomas, you like look over with a little bit of like, wait, what are you doing? And you see Jolan just take his rapier, stab the man in the gut, kind of turn his head as he's still laughing and like not quite out, and then just stabs him in the throat. And you just see the point go straight through. The guy's laughter being cut off as blood starts spurting out of the wound, and he just drags the weapon out and then looks at the rest of the room and just goes striding in. So Quinn.
So I'm waiting for the sound of combat, and I don't think we're there yet. So far it's just laughter and
Yeah.
chatter.
Laughter and drugs.
So
I
happy
think
place.
I'm just gonna ready in action to bust through the window when I hear the definite sounds of fighting.
Okay. So it is now back up to the guard's turn. I'm gonna imagine that hearing their companion's laughter just stops suddenly is an alerting noise enough. So, Sven, as you were leading two of them away, the one in the north kind of still fussing around looking for the weasel, he was the one that initially interacted with Quinn at the beginning of this whole adventure. They all kind of turn their attention to where their companion once was, as Joel is just kind of like walk in with this kind of like almost nonchalance almost into the room, and they all start like quickly fumbling for their weapons, and the one nearest him like grabs a little mace he kind of has tucked into his belt and just starts trying to like flash at him, flail at him. Yeah. Ooh, intriguing. All right. Was not expecting that. One moment, gentlemen. There it is. Okay. As Jolan is like stepping through, he's not quite ready for the combatant in front of him to actually be a combatant. And the mace, the first one misses as Jolan kind of just like leans back, and there's a little bit of shock in his eyes. Before the franticness of the man, he swings again and kind of catches Jolan like right on his shoulder. There's this loud, harsh crack as it lands. He kind of lets out a little bit of like a grunt of pain, and the man doing battle with him kind of gets this like almost kind of excited look like he actually did something, and there is like a clear indication that was like a heavy blow as Jolan's like, oh, and he's just like trying to now square off versus kind of striding into him initially. The one following you, Sven, I don't think he's gonna see you as an enemy yet. You are holding the drugs.
Best disguise ever.
Would you take an attack of opportunity on him if he left your sphere?
No.
Okay.
I haven't unsheathed my
Mm-hmm.
my weapon, so
So
no.
as you, the one just behind you, he was just kind of like following you, the vague interest of trying out whatever random drug you have brought into this. He sees his companion land the blow. He also leaps into action. He can't quite get to Jolan, but he goes leaping up onto that work table that's kind of in the center of the room, kind of kicking one of the bags over, and gets a little bit of advantage, looks down at him, and tries to slash out at him from the table up above. Yes. Okay. Jolan, this is probably not going to... okay. Okay. So Jolan is now in battle with one, having an injury on his shoulder, kind of looks over at the second, and now there's actual genuine like concern on his face, more so than when he took a blow to the shoulder. As the second one gets on the table, he kind of like nicks Jolan as he's like kind of shifting his rapier to the side to try and parry a blow, and just leaves like a nice long bloody trail up his forearm. As it's not a heavy blow, but it's enough for him to go like, and like again trying like to fend off these attacks coming his way. The one to the north. Sparkles. Give me a deception check.
6.
Alright. He is going to ignore the ferret for the meantime. Yep. Alright. Oh.
Is he about to attack?
I just rolled another natural 20.
Is
Yes.
he about... Okay. With that, then we'll use his reaction to cast Silvery Barbs. That attack needs to re-roll the d20 and use the lower roll.
Okay.
And just call it, no, not with the drugs around. Momentarily distracting him.
Alright. So as all the commotion is going on, and Quinn, this would certainly be the trigger that you hear of, shouting and pain and commotion. All the different men kind of gather around Jolan at this point are like, this is the ruse! This is the ruse! They're attacking! As they're like all kind of like trying to come up to speed to what the hell's going on, as information has been a little bit disconnected at best. And so as the north one comes running down, his dagger in hand that he had tried to wield against Quinn earlier, it looks like he is going to catch Jolan unaware. And he's coming up behind him as Jolan is like kind of turning away from another blow, and the dagger is coming down as you call out, and it's just enough to kind of grab the corner of his eye, and he just swings just past Jolan, enough like you see a few strands of the younger man's hair kind of being cut off by the strike as his head is moved out of the way, and just like barely avoids what would have like very clearly been like a neck stab, which would have been very bad if, viewers at home are not aware of neck injuries. So yeah, good on you, sir. And we're down to you, Sven.
Can I go ahead and come through the window?
Oh, because you ready to action to burst through the window?
I'm ready to action to come through the window.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yep.
Roll anything or just busting through?
Nah, I think if you're prepared, you're ready, you're sitting there. I don't think that's something that would be
All right,
hard.
I come through the window and yell, "Trouble's brewing!"
Oh my fucking god.
Hate everything about this.
Oh. Okay. Sven.
This is fucking awesome. I love it.
This
Excellent use of a pun.
So much, dude.
Yes. So looking around at all of these, Sven will bristle up and activate his blade song,
Mm-hmm.
his bonus action, and then just go, no, everyone settle down, and do a quick whip of his wand and cast Wither and Bloom, centered on here.
Okay.
So 10-foot radius. So these guards, all 4, will need to make a Constitution saving throw, 14.
Okay. First one succeeds, second one fails, third one fails, fourth one fails. All right, sweet.
All right, fantastic. So the ones that failed take 8 points of necrotic damage. The one that's saved takes 4. Wow, that was bad math. And then Jolin can go ahead and spend a hit dice to regain some health.
Okay. All right.
No, 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 no! What are you doing? What are you doing? Stop!
So that is the one that succeeded. Good to know. All right. Uh. Okay.
And as little necrotic tendrils reach out and grab them, and
Kind of
Zap
crawling
vitality.
through the kind of cracked floorboards, grabbing at their feet, clawing up their ankles. All right. We are down to Thomas, sir.
Thomas would enter the room at this point.
Oh yeah. Let me yoink.
Yoink. And get as far away from everyone as he possibly can at this point. Sparkles is still behind the barrel.
Yeah.
So I'll have Sparkles run out and nip at this guy's heel
Mm-hmm.
to give Jolin the help action on his
Okay.
next attack. And he gives the same intimidating, piercing, rolling one shriek that he gave earlier. And just it's a little dart attack. He's going to come out, distract him, and then try to run back.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time,
Sparkles doesn't have the avoidance of attack of opportunities that. Okay.
no. I mean, if he's not attacking, but yeah, I guess he's just performing the help action, and then Thomas will he'll look at him and be like, your face looks like you slept on caltrops and you're that ugly. Did your mother cast darkness to feed you? And he rolls vicious mockery
Oh no, which one?
on the one that was not affected by Wither and Bloom. The
Okay.
one that I get. Yeah.
Yeah. What is the? You said it was 15.
Yeah. So it's a wisdom save of 15.
That's a failure. Yeah.
All right. That is maxed it out. 4 points of damage.
All right. Isn't there another effect with
Let's see here.
Disadvantage on it.
And
Yeah,
disadvantage
that's what I
on the next attack roll it makes before the end of its next turn.
Okay. So is Sparkles moving into the area and then moving out?
Yeah, thematically, that's what I would be going for.
Okay. So he is going to try and attack Sparkles, but with the vicious mockery, I'll say that at disadvantage. If that works for you.
Sure.
Okay. 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 What is Sparkles AC?
It's a whopping 13.
Oh, he fucking hits. Ooh, that's close. Is the HP matter for Sparkles?
No, probably not.
Okay.
Fuck.
So as Sparkles races up, this like little slinky jumping from the cast to the west, it bites down on the leather of his boot on his Achilles heel. He lets out this kind of like sharp yelp as you are also lashing out at his mind with your insult, and he kind of catches you with a strange look and tries to like disregard you as his like eyes scrunch up and his face turns into this like wrinkled, excruciating expression, and he whips around, and out of fury of the stupid pun that just came through the window and everything that's going on and having to hunt through this weasel and his mom being brought into this, he brings his dagger down and just catches Sparkles right in the back of the leg, letting out this like ah, and then just turning into the beautiful arcane dust that you're familiar would, I suppose. I don't think we've established that, but yeah. Anything else, sir?
Mm-mm.
All right. Brainoon, you are up, sir.
Brandon will walk through the doors, which I can't do by myself.
Oh, yep, sorry. There you go.
And he's gonna move to here. I'm gonna state right now, because I'm using a bludgeoning weapon, I am dealing non-lethal damage this
Okay.
combat. But I would like to attack this
As
guy.
you step over the fresh corpse.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah, that's, and yeah, and then I will attack what's his name? I'm hearing myself from somewhere.
Yeah, it's Rob. It's okay. The northern one.
Yes. That is going to be, I believe, an 18 to hit. Let me double check my to hit. Yes, 18
That
to
would
hit.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is going to be 10 non-lethal bludgeoning damage. As I just kind of come in, like, Braynoon's heart is not in this at all. He's doing this just because if he doesn't, things are going to be worse. And so, targeting main body mass, extremities, not going for the head. Just, I want to put this guy down, but...
Yeah, he was the one who just turned around and got Sparkles. He's standing back up, kind of pulling the dagger back. He looks over at Thomas and go, "What'd you say about my?" And then you just jam your hammer into his gut. He goes, "Blah!" As you nice solid blow right center mass.
Yep. And that was action. Yeah, that's the end of my turn. He's just not. He's here physically. That's about it.
So Jolin is going to take the opportunity that Sparkles provided, because you didn't use advantage on your roll, right, Brandon, with the help action? Does help
No, 'cause
have to be the next turn, or can you select who it helps? As far as
I
I'm
think
clear.
help is you help an individual, so I think
Okay,
help was
yeah.
given to Jolin.
Gotcha. So he's going to attack the one that has the help action on him, which will probably not go well for him. Yep. Well, Brandon, not to immediately fly in the face of your valiant effort.
No, it's fine.
As you strike him in the gut, he kind of doubles over a little bit. Jolin, who is now kind of surrounded and beaten and bruised and cut at this point, takes the opening and kind of takes a side step and swings his rapier over his head and catches the guy like right here, the base of his neck, driving it down to the center of his torso, dragging the rapier back, and then it's kind of shoving the dead man over as he just and just hits the ground.
Also, just one piece of information for my own. The door we came in, is that a window just to the south of it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I am listening for any sound of that window breaking.
Okay.
Having been in here now and seeing that it seems to be walled off.
Mm-hmm. All right. Quinn.
So it got the guy that I wanted.
There's a guy in a
It
table.
would have been fun to get that guy, but
He's like bleeding out. You just come running over to him.
I am going to jump up on these tables and run toward that fellow on the tabletops and attack him with sneak attack.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a dirty 20 to hit for 19.
Damn. All right. That would not bring him down, but that is certainly a blow. Very clearly, he would be bloodied. You said it was 19 damage, right?
That's right.
Yeah. And then he's taken 8 damage from... Yeah. Okay. Yep. So he's very severely injured as you leap onto the table, clear the length of it, and I'm assuming you are wielding your daggers, sir, or your rapier you have? Yeah.
And after I hit him, I will back off.
Okay. And then you have the swashbuckler feat, which doesn't provoke... Okay, sweet.
Right.
Yep. So as you race forward and kind of stab him in the back, it's like you clearly run through him to the point that this is definitely a mortal wound, if not tended to in like minutes. He lets out this shout and he tries to like swat at you as you go gliding back down the table. A few of the kind of like disregarded crates and whatnot that have been like pulled out in the search for Sparkles being kind of cast to the side as you position yourself with a bit of flair and pizzazz, which you may not do, but I like to imagine it. All right. Is that all your turn, sir?
That's
okay.
it.
So, as all of this is going on, I'm not even going to attempt to re-describe the absolute absurdity of what's going on. there is the sound of commotion in that smaller room, like heavy, quick footsteps, and all of a sudden the door goes bursting open, and I guess Sven, you'd be the first one. A rather beefy, I guess is the right term to use, elf, which is not, not uncommon, but certainly isn't the norm for elves. Usually they're a lot more kind of slender and graceful, but this man clearly takes a lot of pride in being an impressive physical specimen, and he probably stands at about 6'2", 6'3", a very, imposing individual, comes bursting out of the door, and he's wielding what looks like a very ugly and crude mace that no one in the world would ever want to be hit with. And he glances around at the table, sees no one's there, looks down the room, sees Sven, sees his men, Jolin, and Quinn on the table, and he just goes, "What in the fuck is going on out here? Everyone stop!" I do kind of want to ask this. Would anybody stop?
Yes. Assuming that they do not
Mhm.
take... Yeah.
I would hold off too. I mean, I'm in a safe spot anyway, so I got nothing to lose.
And Sven?
And if
bag of
Jolin
drugs.
doesn't, I will attempt to restrain him.
Okay. So as he bursts out of the room, all of the men, like even as they are fighting for their lives, immediately turn their attention to the man. It is very clear that there is a no-nonsense policy with this individual. And as they make eye contact, he looks them all over as all of their blows and preparations kind of pause midair. The whole battle scene kind of freezing in this stasis. The guy who's just stabbed just looking over at the man. Jolin regains all the confidence he had just lost as he's been kind of battered, and he just looks over at him, and you see a quick moment of thinking before there's a bit of recognition. He's like, "Ah, Fugar, how's it going?" But I'm assuming it is safe to say that initiative is paused for the moment, correct? All right. The gentleman that just enters the room steps a little bit further out and first looks at you, Sven, with a bit of I don't even know what to do with this, as you are holding your drugs in one hand and
Wand in the other.
he just kind of gives you a look, and then is like, "Okay, probably deal with that later." Looks at the rest of the room. He's like, What happened?" And Jolin looks over. "I thought I'd come and say hello. I have some friends that you'd like to meet." Kind of looks at you all. I'm assuming nobody says anything. He looks back like, "We're inquiring after your friend Longfinger." And you see Fugar, his face kind of growing a little bit sour and bitter. This, realization of what all the pieces are now beginning to mean. He looks after you all. "Longfinger is not here. We could certainly find a less bloody resolution."
Can I make an insight check on not here?
Yeah.
That is a 16.
I think probably the clearest message you could discern is he is not here. That part is at least
Right,
true.
yeah. Yeah, I'm
But
just trying to figure out
yeah.
if this is he's not here right now, he's not here, I haven't seen him not here.
It's more like he's not here, but I know where he is probably the best way to put
Okay.
it. Yeah. So we kind of look at Jolin, kind of glances at you all, kind of wondering what your energy level is at the current moment, I suppose. And then, "Well, if that's the case, then we can sit down and have a lovely discussion." And he looks to the man currently still dying on the floor.
We still haven't gotten a kit.
This is hardcore mode. No healing.
So, Fugar, as I'm assuming you guys could put two and two together,
Yep.
looks at his men, go, put your weapons down. Did you... He kind of peeks around the corner and sees two of his men currently dead on the floor. It's like, "Oh." Everyone, please separate, please. And he would try and like get his men on the east and you guys on the west, if everyone would kind of cooperate, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
No. Sven would.
I
go
would
to
let
the-
them gather their guys, but I'm not moving. Oh my god.
Are you just going to the table, Sven?
Yeah, I was gonna sit down.
All right. So these gentlemen would move over here. I'm assuming that guy would help the man who's currently stabbed. Fugar would walk up to Jolin, and Sven.
Are there any coins on the table? I'm gonna take those.
It does not appear that they were playing for money currently, but there are drinks and cards, and a little bit of like leftover food.
Yeah, I'll pocket the cards.
All right. So as Fugar goes like moving through his men, kind of eyeing the one that is stabbed and the two that are dead, he looks over at Joel and he's like, I thought we had dealt with this. And Joel kind of like has to crane his head up to look at him. And it doesn't have to be overly stated that Jolin is a rather young human, and Fubar is at least an adult elf, so the disparity in life experience here is pretty vast. Fugar just kind of gives him this look of almost like minor annoyance. Like one might look at a dog that kind of like ran under his heel a little bit too much, and just, please leave.
Who is that directed towards? Is that to
Jolin.
Jolin and
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm assuming that
specifically-
extends to all of you.
I mean, I'm gonna hold my tongue until Jolin says something at least.
Jolin kind of looks back at you all, looks back up at him. Well, if you tell us where Longfinger is, I'll happily leave and let you tend to your wounded. Fugar is kind of like, I do not know where Longfinger is, and if you do not leave, then I will assist you in helping clean up the wounded.
Does that statement counter to what I was getting off my insight check earlier, where he says I don't know where he is?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Still no reaction for the group.
No, I'm trying to formulate what I'm gonna say.
Okay. This is a very odd situation. I don't even know what the fuck to do.
Yeah, Brainoon's kind of like in disappointed dad mode right now, and so he's like, don't want to yell at the kids, but I get the feeling you know where he is. Just tell us. I don't want to be here any more than we have to, but the boy's not going to leave unless he gets the information he wants.
Kind of looks over at you, Brainoon, and now for the first time, Fugar kind of looks at each of you and kind of gets a little bit of a general idea of who the fuck you are, still disregarding Sven, who's just off in the fucking background.
He's smoking right now.
But he would line up with you, Brainoon, kind of almost maybe...
Like an eye-to-eye over Jolin's head type of
Yeah,
thing.
he's kind of appealing to your, hopefully, wisdom and age compared to everybody else. And just like, we have been dealing with this rapscallion for far too long. I would much appreciate if you could bring him outside.
I'm going to look at Jolin. If he gives his word that he'll give the information you want to me, will you walk outside and wait for us? And I give my word, I'll not leave until I have the information. I don't know why it looks like my mic cut out at the end of that, but
Give me a persuasion.
Hey, I have actual proficiency with that. That is going to be a 21.
All right. Jolan's kind of like pause. He thinks for a minute, kind of looks up at Fugar, looks back at you. There's a lot of like mental thinking going on because that's the only kind of thinking there is. All right. I will leave if you tell my companions where Longfinger is, and I will bring up my transgressions with him. And Fugar is just like, and as like Jolan goes to turn, one of the men who is still currently stabbed behind him, who is like clutching the wound on his chest, he's like, "Boss, what the fuck?" And you just see Fugar just pelt him in the face with a very firm and quick punch, and it's just like all of a sudden the whole left side of his face is in much worse condition than it was a few moments ago. And he realizes that he has made quite the error as Jolan kind of, and then we'll kind of just slide past you guys and outside without much fuss. And then Fugar would kind of turn back to you, Brainy, and be like, "Who the fuck are you?"
My name is Braenoon. I'm a member of the Emberboard Guild, League of Obsidian Warriors. We were hired by him to assist with the capture of Longfinger and fulfillment of his bounty. He, because he saw you, was under the impression Longfinger was in here. He's never seen Longfinger in here. He's only seen you. I'm assuming you know he can be impulsive, and we've known him for 6 hours, and I'm about as fed up with him as you are. So the sooner I can get rid of him, the sooner you get rid of him.
Give me persuasion again.
You just want me to fail, don't you?
You're proficient in it.
Yeah, that doesn't mean I'm that great at it. That one's only a 13.
Okay.
Proficient still only a +3.
um, as you're speaking, the man who was now punched in the face and stabbed in the chest is led back to whatever you was. Oh, I guess Sven, you can see there's a back office from your position at the table. He would lead his friend into the back office to assumedly deal with some of his wounds, as now Fugar is only backed up by one of his loyal companions. Fugar kind of like just listens to you speak for a moment, and he closes his eyes and just... You are the League of Obsidian Warriors. That's your mercenaries?
Aye.
So your loyalty to that gentleman is just
As
coin.
far as the contract extends.
If we pay you what he's paying you, will you just leave?
Sadly, no. However, he is not concerned with you. He's only concerned with Long. So as long as what you're doing with Long doesn't deal with him, he's going to leave you alone. Unless you've got a bounty that he sees as worthy, and then that's your problem. But my concern in this...
He actually said you had a bounty, but he called you a copper bag. He didn't think you were worth it.
Oh,
As Sven, you let out a chuckle, he just whips his head around to you and just gives you this, like, death stare before disregarding you once more and turning back to the conversation.
Anything you can tell us, we're gone.
He kind of looks back at the doors and then looks to you, Thomas. He's like, "You, close the door." Joel's kind of like, "Wait, what?" And then the door's closed. Looking back down to you, Brandon. I have not a lot of options in my current situation. And I would much prefer that even though my insufferable fucking companions enjoy finding ways to dispose of themselves, they've grown on me at least a little bit, except for, well... Yeah, well... I am willing to bargain under certain circumstances. I will take that as a yes.
You could take it as we're listening.
Kind of looks over at you, Quinn's like, get off the table.
I know it's not your table.
It's not my table, but I mean, we're having a get off the table.
I was taught that if you said please, sometimes that would elicit the correct response. Quinn, get off the table, please. See, it worked.
I'm matching this guy's level of exasperation point for point.
I was having a nap. What? All right. Because I am very ready to be done with this situation. Tell me, dwarf, what's your name?
I gave it to him once.
Forgive me if I'm not keeping up with everything right now. Brayback,
I don't even care.
can I sign a contract with you?
With me and us as individuals, or us as members of the League of Obsidian Warriors?
Whatever is tethering you to him, can I sign one?
You'd have to submit one to the guild. We could... It's... No. Essentially, no. But I give you... I'm not concerned with you. I give you my word that we will leave here today, and as long as your name ever shows up on our contract board, you'll never see us again.
I'll even veto any contracts that have your name in it.
I mean, we live here. He might see us again, but it won't be for business.
To say that Longfinger's leadership has been questionable recently isn't an understatement. I'm fucking tired of being in this goddamn brewery. It's a fucking shit brewery at that. Fucking no vents. Longfinger dragged us here under one of his premonitions. Oh, fuck. You like see the guy behind him looking real fidgety as he begins to kind of like, I guess,
Reveal things.
yeah, or even just like talk bad about Longfinger in a certain extent. But he's just, I guess, kind of consolidating his just disconnect of what the fuck is happening with Braynoon. He's just, he's pulling you into the fold of his horrible existence right now.
In spirits right now.
Yeah. He is underground, not in the. He's literally under the floorboards. And he kind of like looks over at the guy standing behind him, and he's like, and he just kind of like pushes him slightly out of the way. And Sven, as you are stuffing shuffling cards up your cloak, I don't know what you're doing. Fugar would walk down the back of the room, and these crates right here, as far as you can tell,
Kind of follow him around.
yeah, have been hollowed out, or at least emptied out, and made into like a fake prop, almost a kind of set. He just drags them easily away, and you see a hole has been torn out of the floor in that corner, and there is a kind of, I guess, like dug looking tunnel leading down with a rope ladder kind of descending down into the hole. You're muted.
So he's not here, but he's here.
There is what do you even call it? And the guy next to him goes, "It's a tomb, a grave." Yeah,
A labyrinth.
sure. There's something valuable down there that Longfinger just had to need, and he's been down there for 4 days now and won't come back up. We sent yeah, he's currently dead. I would like to leave, and if you all promise to make sure Longfinger never sees me again, then I am very willing to just wash my hands of this whole business.
I'm willing to tell Longfinger you're dead.
He probably won't believe you.
That's between you and him.
Kind of looks over at you, Sven.
Yes.
I thought you lot was supposed to be, better?
We're not green cloaks.
No, the dragon kind.
Oh,
He
the
seems
dragons.
off.
What are you talking about? I'm beloved in my family.
Do we have an agreement? Well, I guess I already revealed it, so you can try stabbing me now, but I don't know how that would go.
As long as you're not gonna come behind us and stab us in the back when we go after him, you're welcome to leave.
Well, boys, it's been shit. Let's go. And you see the one that was in the office, who's been like kind of rudimentarily bandaged with like some clothing that's been ripped up, kind of shuffle out, and they all kind of look around. He's like, he looks over at you, Sven, the one that is actually bleeding profusely, and he looks down at the missing cars. He's like, can I have those back?
No.
Ben, give him the cards back.
Oh,
Ben, you're better than this, like he said.
you have to take trophies from your victory. Fine. And he'll pull the deck out.
He kind of starts taking the cards. He's like, you want a trophy? Go cut fucking Bill's cock off. And
And with a smoke ring directed at him, just, fine. Toodles.
so I guess under a very strange atmosphere, the gentleman would gather their belongings and, with Fugar leading, just go towards the front door and leave.
Once they are out, I will collect Jolin, who I assume has his ear pressed to the door, and... Would you like to go get your target?
Well, that is the whole purpose here.
Alright, underground we go. And I'm just gonna walk over and go down the hole, I
Kind of
guess.
following with a little curiosity, he just like looks at it. What? Ah,
Sven.
oh.
Sven,
Yes.
when you smoke that stuff, you're an insufferable butthole.
Thomas.
No.
No, Thomas. I'm so proud of you for sticking up for yourself.
So, as you all, as Thomas and Sven deal with their issues, Brainy and Jolin, and I'm assuming Quinn, as you step up to the hole, as you get the first glance down, it certainly extends far past the limit of your dark vision, and then there's no light seemingly at any point down below. But just getting like a rough estimate, this hole is maybe 30 to 40 feet of earth, like carved through like stone and dirt and like kind of like the top layer, I suppose, and maybe even potentially like old buildings that have kind of been like paved over or built over. And then eventually it looks like it breaks into a very tight and very decrepit looking spiral staircase, which you get to see like one rotation of before you can no longer see. And that is kind of what you are looking at.
Like, as I go over the hole, I'm going to look at Jolin. Longfinger's down here. Been down there for at least 4 days. Hasn't been seen.
It's gonna be a fucking bitch to drag his ass up here. I guess we're taking him alive then.
That's your problem.
Well, good work, gentlemen. Ready to go down then?
It's like one, like, getting onto whatever ladder or whatever's there. Like, he's ready to be done with this as soon as possible.
So, Brainy would start going down. What is everyone else doing?
Oh yeah.
I would hand Jolin a torch, as we now have a human in the group.
Okay. I'm assuming
Sven will cast Mage Armor on himself and just still lightly bickering with Thomas. And Thomas, I understand, but no, we have to work now. I can't argue.
You never could argue. Well.
all right. Give me one moment. Today is a very interesting day.
One way to say it.
Mm-hmm. I imagine you guys see nothing? Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Alright, and now let me... So, Brainoon, you're going first, right?
At the moment, I am in the front, yes.
Okay. And there isn't really a lot of room to, like, maneuver past people, so you're going to be in the lead for...
That's fine.
Yeah.
As long as I'm in front of Jolin.
Let me do this. Hey, perfection. All right. So, Brainoon, as you first go down the rope ladder, which is kind of a really obnoxious descent, because it's not quite secured to the wall, so you're kind of having to, like, brace your back up against it and then keep going, and then as soon as other people start following you, the whole thing kind of starts, like, shifting around, and it's just like, it's just adding more layers to this just absurd situation. But as you go down the 30 or 40 feet and eventually hit the spiraling staircase, you can feel like a consistently cold, I guess, like, drifting of air kind of going past you and up towards the hole to the surface. And there is I don't say the immediate smell, but the underlying scent of death, decay, rot, unpleasant things to say the least. But it has this kind of stale and chilled air that just keeps kind of, like, pushing past you. If you start going down the staircase, are you trying to do this in a stealthy way, or just kind of, like, going down the staircase?
Yeah, Brainian would be at least trying not to draw attention to himself.
Okay. I guess everyone go ahead, throw me a roll.
As much as I want to say he's just clod hopping his way down the staircase, he doesn't want to die today.
Hey!
For what? What roll for what?
Stealth.
Not great, but not bad.
13.
12.
19.
Ooh. Quinn?
23.
Okay. So, perhaps spurred on by the more wary companions behind you, you do try and watch your step as you do descend lower and lower. And you are probably walking down for... It's a solid, like, 2 minutes. It's a very long, cylindrical staircase that you just keep going down and down and down. Eventually...
As we go down, is there, like, any what used to be offshoots that are filled in with dirt, or is it just a column staircase going down?
It looks like it is all, cut, lined up stonework, like, stone brick work, I guess is how I should specify it. And it has clearly been built in this long tubular, I guess, like, access point, and the staircase just barrels straight down to it. As you're about maybe 20-ish feet from what you suspect to be the bottom, you begin to hear a bit more clarity in the sounds and the smells and whatnot that you are taking in. Go ahead, throw me a perception check.
That is a natural 20 for a total of 22.
Okay. Right before you assume that you're like getting to where you get to see some peak of whatever it lays down here, you hear very faintly to the point where like you have to stop and everyone kind of stops behind you, and the sound of Jolin's torch is almost as loud as this noise that you are picking up, and it's just this very slight, slick sloshing noise. And it's just this faintest little tiniest whisper of movement. And as you're kind of focusing in on that, maybe about 5 or so seconds pass as you're like just identifying it before you hear, oh, I actually should, in a language you do not understand, low consistent murmuring.
Okay. No sign that we have been detected in any way, shape, or form.
No.
I will continue forward as stealthily as capable for me.
Okay. So as you finally actually breach the opening where the staircase is kind of exposed for about 10 or so feet before it gets to the floor, you are looking in what is clearly a potentially ancient, certainly old as crap. That's a totally accurate time measurement unit right there. The stonework is failing and crumbling. There's large cracks in the wall. The tiles across the floor are chipped and missing and broken. Clearly, like dirt and earth and vegetation, and also the constant erosion of the nearby, large body of water and the shoreline, which is potentially not that far away, has really taken its toll on this place. As you are looking farther north, one of the large archways that was kind of giving support to the large ceiling above you, which the ceilings are probably 10 to 15 feet tall potentially, the archway has actually collapsed, and part of the wall has been shoved down, being filled in with the layers and layers of dirt upon it. And it's closed off enough that getting through whatever hallway this once was is probably kind of a large task. But there's a hole kind of at the top of the ceiling where the archway and the dirt haven't quite sealed off yet. And you can see through that hole the faint light of some sort of warm light, like a candle or a lantern or maybe a torch of some sort. And there's just that little bit of a hint of something back there. To your west, there's a smaller, almost maybe an access hallway. It's certainly shorter than most standard sizes would be, especially for people in a taller race. For you, you could kind of rather comfortably walk down it, but, probably Quinn might have to duck, certainly. Well, Thomas with his horns probably has to do a whole little, head duck. There is a very rotten looking door just kind of off to your northeast, but there are clearly fresh lumber kind of like plastered over it or nailed over it, and it has this kind of like certainly janky rebuilt lock or latch on the doorknob of it that certainly looks fresh as well. But that would be the general scene that you slowly descend down into.
Probably a question that doesn't actually matter. Does this architecture look elven, or would I assume this to be older than crafted race?
Give me do you have the dwarven stone cutting feat?
I do.
So you want to give me, that's history with advantage, right?
I think so, yeah. I will double check to make sure before I roll, but stone cunning, intelligence history check, yes.
Mm-hmm.
2 17s. That makes it a 20.
Okay. One of the interesting, I guess is the term you could use, things about dwarves in Talora is in their previous land that's now known as the Shattered Lands that was destroyed from their entrance, they lived very much like the dwarves of Asmiliath kind of lived. They were these underground, vast stone empires with a lot of mechanical advantages and tools and infrastructure kind of built up. It's what they were known for, and there was a lot of pride in that. And once that was all kind of taken away, there was this not a divide within the dwarven race, but certainly kind of two different poles that the dwarves drifted to. This like longing for the dwarven excellence that once was, and all their beautiful stonework and cities, and the proud civilization that they had built, and there was the ones that were kind of ready to cast it aside and move forward and find a new path in the world. It is known that a lot of the, I guess, like lords or mayors or governors or leaders or generals or any sort of like powerful, influential figure of the dwarven race, once the civilization fell and they were forced to leave, tried to carve back a little bit of their dwarven heritage to some extent and would build dwarven-esque or dwarven-style buildings, mines, towns, cities, tombs. And that is what you can more or less kind of assume you've potentially stumbled upon, is some figure that has traveled from the Shattered Lands all the way to the eastern side of Runathosi, has built this, going off the context clues of the men up above and what you're looking at now, some sort of tomb that has now been left to the ages for quite some time.
Gotcha. Well, I'm gonna step out into here and kind of let everybody else get down.
Yeah.
I would stop Jolin. Put the torch away. Quinlan has a hooded lantern.
Okay.
And on cue, I will get that out and get it lit.
Okay. As you guys all step into the hallway, I'm probably going to ask for a fresh set of stealth checks. And then everyone throw a perception, because why not?
A 10 on the stealth.
Not better. 17 on stealth, 8 on perception.
Okay.
And a 4 on perception.
Okay. You're muted, Seth.
19 on stealth. And a 20 on perception, not nat.
Okay.
23 stealth and a natural 20 for perception for 24 total.
Okay. So as Quinn, as you are pulling out your lantern and everyone's kind of settling into this hallway, all getting the same look around the situation that Brandon first got, you know, Jolin following your advice and kind of throwing the torch, not throwing it, gently setting the torch up on the staircase above you guys. You are hearing that strange whispering, murmuring noise coming up from the north, and it's not constant. There are like maybe 20 or 30-second strings of it, and then it will fade, and there's like some other strange noise, maybe like a scratching or a metal clinking or maybe a quill scratch noise potentially, and then again the voice might pick up a little bit. Quinn, as you are in front of that western hallway, there certainly is, you know, the main attention of the light up to your north, but as you're kind of crouched down, pulling out your lantern, kind of fussing with it, getting it set up, to your west, down that smaller hallway, you hear, it sounds like someone sticking their hand in a bowl of pudding and then just like doing this like, but it's pretty faint. It's not like large or moving fast or like destructive by any means. There's kind of underlying strange noise off to your west.
Just that description makes me want to wash my hands.
Getting under your fingernails and everything.
No.
So without saying anything, I will get everybody in turn if I have to make eye contact, and then tap my ear and then point in that direction.
Again, using kind of this made-up sign language that Brandon's been using with Quinlan. He's going to tap his ear, point in the direction of the muttering, and just kind of do one of these, trying to communicate the idea as like same noise, different noise.
Sven will look at the two of them doing hand gestures and then kind of putting his wand against his throat, whisper over to both of them. If you want to talk, I can message between y'all?
I look at Sven and hold up a hand and just kind of and then look back at Braynoon and just mouth different.
Okay, that's. So now what?
That's a great question.
Yes, well, sending out repeated messages to everyone of, well, what do we want to do? There's two paths.
That opening to our north, did you say that was up higher? Like, you said it was like a 10 to 15 foot ceiling.
Yeah,
So
it's
at
probably
the top of that.
yeah, like 11 or 12 feet of rubble, and then there's like a 2-foot like small gap to kind of see light through.
Okay. Just making sure I don't actually see a door through on the other side of that.
Yeah, I would allow it if like because you were probably eye level with it when you were coming down the
Right, yeah.
stairs. You would be able to see the top. I'm gonna probably describe it unclearly because your vision of it was unclear.
Yep.
It is some sort of door. Like there's the two of like a double door, right? The two large slabs and the seam down the middle. There's clearly a bit of intricate design on it, but you're only kind of seeing maybe like the top like couple inches of it, and then there's like stonework above it. So, but yeah, you could make out that there is a door past the hole.
Okay. I will. I'm not going that direction. I'm just stepping out this way to make space for Quinlan. But I'm just going to point at him and then point at the crudely redone locked door.
Yep, I'm gonna dig out my thieves' tools and get to work.
All right. Is that a dex check with proficiency? Is how it's ruled, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, that sounds right.
When you moved Jolin, I thought you were going to have him dashed down that hallway.
Come on, boys!
Only a 13.
All right. Luckily, it's a shit lock. As you move up to it, there is clearly some sort of latch or lock that was here previously that has been legitimately just ripped out of the rotten wood and then replaced with like a bunch of kind of forced together jank metal. And there is a pretty rudimentary padlock on it all. And you kind of pick it up, and there's just this moment of like, quaint. And you just start getting to work, and you're kind of looking around, and there's just a little bit of fiddling, kind of getting a little bit precise. Then and it pops open. I will go ahead and unlock the door.
So, I remember to buy that.
As he's picking the lock in a tomb.
I didn't remember to buy a healing kit like I intended to, so.
Yeah, no, I didn't. All right. So I just turn back to the group and give a thumbs up, and then sort of shrug, kind of step aside and like stack up, like I'm stacking up on the door.
Thomas, as this is all going on and you're kind of watching everything happen, you've been kind of like listening in closer to that noise, the voice or the whispering or the murmuring that's kind of coming from that northern access point, I suppose. And you're not able to really get enough clear words to discern it, but the back of your mind starts to form that it is infernal being spoken, but you can't make out the words right now.
Guys, there might be something bad that way. Do you hear it sounds like something my mom used to tell me to scare me into doing the right things.
I'm going to push open the door.
Thomas, what,
Like, not throw it open, but just kind of like, I want to I want to know what's on the other side of the door.
Okay, Brandon, did you hear what I said?
At that?
Okay.
I just hold my finger up at Thomas.
So,
Messaging Thomas. Spend with Thomas. Why don't do you still have Mr. Sparkles? He got stabbed earlier.
Bring it up right now. He's never had that happen to him before.
Oh.
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh. Okay.
so Brandon, as you push open the door,
Just love that came up at that moment.
so
Yeah, pushing open the door.
as you go to push it, you get it maybe about like an inch or so open before like the softest amount of like squeaky hinge noise begins, and you kind of like grip the wood and stop it. So it's open enough that you can kind of glance through the crack that's kind of formed at the hinge where it moves and through the opening of the door. The northern wall is clearly crumbled to some extent, but it doesn't look like the first kind of collapse that you'd seen. It looks like the stones have kind of been like taken out and set aside, and there's this probably 2 foot wide and 6 foot tall, I guess like passageway kind of carved through that wall. Off to the southeast on the eastern side of the wall, there is the actual kind of erosion collapsing of the tomb. A lot of the room just full of like rubble, and there's just like a diagonal slanted landslide kind of covering that corner. I cannot describe shit today, but anyway, that would be what you would see. But the door is clearly potentially loud if you just throw it open.
So the fact that the door swings in, but it is swung in a bit. I'm gonna look at Quinlan and just mouth the word oil, hoping he has some that maybe we can put on the hinges.
Well, do you have oil for your lantern, or is it all in the lantern?
I have another flask of oil. I had one left after smashing it on that ogre.
And I'm actually going to go into my bag and kind of go through some of my smithing tools that I carry with me for just nostalgia's sake. And I want to pull out the thinnest file I have as just something that he could use to run the oil down onto the hinge.
I just want to say that as this was happening, I thought to myself, should I get something to grease hinges? No, that would be stupid.
Since you are both messing with equipment, I'm gonna have you both roll a dex check, but Brainoon, don't roll at a disadvantage because I'm not taking your armor to account for this.
My armor doesn't give me disadvantage.
Oh, I'm a fucking idiot. Sorry. I just think dwarf, but I think heavy armor because I'm a simpleton.
15.
That is a 15.
16, 15, you said? Okay, sweet. So as you two are kind of like moving amongst each other, kind of passing things back and forth, slowly opening the flaps of your bags, you eventually get the tools you want. I'm assuming you're going to try and oil the hinges. Okay. Yeah, so taking delicate time to kind of get it on and straighten it up and try and get it like actually into the grooves. Thomas, give me a perception check, sir.
That is a 15.
Okay. So as you are watching them and quite impressed that this transaction is actually going pretty smoothly and pretty quietly, you're taking time to try and focus in on that voice, trying to maybe decipher some of the actual words.
Yeah, I would have moved up. I would have moved up a little bit more north so that I could get if there's any clearer understanding of it.
If you got that close, I might have you roll a check if you want to do that, sir. Or if you want to not do that.
No?
Yeah.
Well, I already moved there. I'd say 14.
So, Thomas, as you are sneaking down the hallway, kind of stopping it where the rubble begins to kind of build up, you just try and get a little bit more, and you can't quite see up through the hole, but there's just more kind of that light exposure that you got the first time. Now that you are closer and really focusing in on it, the murmuring, you can start making out a few different words. There's just like, I tried, I did it. And then there's like another small pause, and it's like, more. I need more. You told me. And then there's another kind of break in the, I guess, coherency. God, words are fucking difficult today. Like, yes, yeah, of course, yes. And then you hear like the scratching of a quill yet again.
I would carefully step towards Quinn. I would motion for Quinn to bring his head close to mine, and I would whisper into his ear what I heard.
Brand new, it would be oiled up at this point if you want to try and open the door.
Yep, I will slowly, especially being very cautious.
Mm-hmm.
That it's already made noise once. Just kind of
Yeah. If you kind of like carry some of the weight of it as you begin to push it in, it's just a very slow, steady pace. As soon as there's like a little bit of a scratch, you kind of wait, maybe like jiggle it very gently back and forth to see if the oil will work in. And just, it probably takes like a good minute of you just like, yep, nope, yep, as everyone's just like,
as long as Jolin's not pushing, we're taking our time.
yeah.
Can I take 10 minutes to cast Comprehend Languages as a ritual?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you roughly when that kicks in.
Cool.
Okay. But yeah, eventually you would get the door open, sir.
Okay, once it's open, I'm going to step back again and just make a motion to Quinlan.
Any response to Thomas Quinn? Sorry.
So I look at Thomas, I point at him, and indicate my eyes, and then I point in the direction he just came from, and then I sneak through the door.
Okay.
As soon as he's through, I'm going to step back in here, partly to interpose myself between Jolin and the doorway, and also to kind of keep an eye on Quinlan.
Okay. So Quinn, as you shift in and get a better look around that little crack in the northern wall, just getting a glimpse of the room, you start to see like non-destroyed and rotted furniture. There's like a small table and a small chair. There's a sleeping bag kind of spread out on the floor. And while it certainly doesn't look like actively lived in at this moment, it's obviously much more present than the, hundreds or thousands of years old structure around you. So that would be what you kind of peek as you walk in. Muted.
And it looks like there's I'm behind a wall, and then there's another wall 5 feet over.
Yeah, so you're behind the wall, and there's a little crack that you can kind of get through into the next room, and then there's more wall.
I'm gonna do a SWAT turn.
I like it. Okay.
And then get to the other wall.
Mm-hmm. So as you kind of shift over the crack in a quick glimpse, you just kind of get the very vague image of like table, barrel, another bedroll, and then you duck behind the wall.
Empty bedrolls?
Yeah.
Okay.
No light in the room either.
So looking for brain noon eye contact. I shake my head no, and then move in.
Okay. I'm going to stay where I'm at for right now, but
so getting
I'm intently
through
listening.
the crack is going to be pretty difficult, so I'm probably going to have you roll stealth again.
As long as it doesn't break my mother's back.
Through, not on.
That is 16 plus 7, 23. Is that right?
God, good lord, yeah. Yeah, there clearly is a place to like put your feet as you move through here, as things have been kind of brought through, but there's enough like darkness and deception and like loose stones and tile work that just kind of like moving your body sideways through it, you just have to kind of watch your step, but you make it through with minimal noise and then get into the actual room proper.
I took expertise in stealth because I knew it was going to come up every day.
So up in the northeast corner of this room, besides the other things you've already kind of seen, there's a few kind of backpacks splayed out on different sides of the wall. There's another rotted kind of door up above you, but this one does not appear to be locked at first glance.
I'm going to go to the nearest backpack. Where is that?
To your north, there's one between the barrels and the bedroll, and there's one also tucked to the east next to that bedroll.
Okay, I'm gonna move to this one and do a quick peek inside.
Okay, give me investigation. Is yep.
That's 13.
Okay. So as you open up the pack and just kind of the main flap, there's clearly like knickknacks and trinkets is probably the best way to describe it. Like things that you would pack when you're just kind of like going somewhere, maybe personal effects. There is a little bit of like food, maybe like a hunk of bread or a bit of a trail ration that some of it's kind of spoiled and molded at this point, but clearly it was just like a backpack that someone was kind of actively living out of, things kind of, jammed and returned back in place. But there's no like standout thing like a journal or a, diamond skull or anything of that nature.
So I looking for Brainoon again. I sort of hold
kind
the
of
backpack
peeking
up.
through.
I hold it up and then set it back down and then hold up 3 fingers and then move to the door and listen.
Okay. Go ahead and give me perception. And I think Sven at this point, probably comprehend language could kick in. Okay.
When I see Quinlan move to the door, I'm just gonna kind of poke my head back out and just motion everybody to kind of form up, like ready to go.
So Sven, as you get a look from Brainoon, Jolan kind of like nudges you, and he kind of points down that western hallway and shrugs.
Just
17.
give him a quick message of, yes, what do you want?
Do you
Get
want to
to it.
come with me? Yeah. We can, whatever's down there. Let's go see.
Fine. And kind of give Thomas a little tap and be right back. Very short. 1 moment.
You're not leaving me here. I'm coming with you.
No, stay with. He needs magic. He's just a martial character. Oh, fine. And
Brandon is oblivious to this as he's laser focused
Yeah.
on watching Quinlan right now.
Yeah.
I'm using message, so all of it is.
Oh, I know, but like any
Technically
movement,
silent.
any of
Mhm.
then
Mhm. So Sven, are you going with him?
Yeah, I mean, he's the employer, and, it seems everything's fine in this front.
So he would begin kind of start crouching down the hallway. So
To
Quinn,
be clear, he cannot see, right? No, he has the lantern.
he has Quinlan's hooded lantern.
Okay.
Mhm. So Quinn, you got 17 on your perception.
If he loses it, I'll buy you a new one, Quinn.
As you are pressed for the door, which again is clearly a door that had rotted and then kind of been put back up into place, as you're listening in, you hear that murmuring a bit clearer, or at least maybe in a different tone, and that strange squelching sound you'd heard before is also a bit more prominent, but kind of hard to place where it's coming from.
I'm just gonna wait
Okay.
and see where the rest of the gang light.
So, Brandon or Thomas, are you doing anything?
I'm focused entirely on Brainoon. He's very comforting to me right now.
I mean, I'm focused on Quinlan. I am not even aware that 2 people have walked away, so
So, Sven, as you were following Jolan, give me a stealth check.
That's a 13.
Okay. He kind of looks back at you, and you see his little, and just keeps trudging forward. And there is a door kind of right at the end of the hallway, right before it turns. We're going to see it going the other way. And he comes up to the door, and he stops, looks back at you. There's a little bit of like a quizzical look, and he shifts to the other side of it, points to you, and then points to where he was.
Completely understanding his intention, Sven will move up to the other side of the door.
Okay. And he's gonna kind of point at the door and then do the whole little, like, takes like the tip of his rapier, like points it to his neck to like mimic your messaging.
Yes, what do you want?
Didn't we hear that? This way.
Oh, gods, don't remind me by the thread above. Yes.
Your magic. Can you see through the door?
No.
If I open the door, can you look?
Well, sure, I have eyes.
All right. He kind of sets the lantern down beside him so it's kind of pointed roughly in the way of the door. Kind of like looks that way, and you see him look around the corner. He goes, And he reaches forward, grabs the door, and begins to slowly inch it forward. And there's like a point where it's going to start squeaking and it kind of stops. He lets it go. And so the door is open this way so that you have view versus him having view. Dynamic lighting is going to give you more vision than you have, but that's just going to be how it is. Oh, actually, that's pretty damn close.
Yeah, not too much more.
Yeah. Okay. So as you peek into the room, you see what looks like whatever the original contents of this room once were, kind of destroyed, pushed to the side. A lot of it kind of looks like it's been jammed up into piles along like the corners and the walls, like kind of clearing things out of the way. And as the door opens, you immediately hear that noise kind of getting a little bit more clearer. And there's I guess you don't have hair on the back of your neck, do you? The scales on the back of your neck kind of like tingle a little bit as you can pretty much perceive that whatever's making that noise is pretty damn close behind this door.
So probably pretty easy for him to hear that as well. So yeah, just a quick message back as well. I see a detritus. I'm gonna have to push it more if you want me to see anything else.
You ready?
I don't know. Go ahead.
Kind of puts his hand up, gives it a shove. I'm gonna go ahead and move you here. There we go. Yep, that works. And I guess I can do this trick. There we go. So, as the door is pushed open and you hear this, and it just flops, you kind of like, and you are staring directly at this large, slowly shifting mass. It's maybe about like 5 or 6 feet tall, maybe like 5-ish feet, I guess at the base, like wide. It's just like this giant, almost like cone-shaped thing. And as you're looking at it, and more of like your brain tries to piece together what you are seeing, it's just this like weird wall of flesh and teeth and eyes and like slime kind of slowly dripping down the exterior. And as the door makes its final like clatter against the wall, all the eyes that were previously closed go and all of them open, all the pupils kind of like swipping around to you. And there is almost like a thin fat fold that had been pressed up against the door when the door got shoved open, comes flapping out like a carpet, and the ground is immediately covered in this like grotesque layer of just like crude swirling ichor. And it's like right near the bottom of your feet, maybe even like kind of tickling the edge of your robe. And immediately this thing opens one of the mouths facing you and shoots out this strange blast. One moment.
Of energy or of matter?
I will give me a dexterity saving throw, sir.
Joyous. A 6.
So, Sped, as you are looking in the door and you see the mouth open, You just see the start of something coming out of the mouth before all of a sudden your vision is just white. There's nothing. It's just this blinding white light, which is almost like painful after all the dark that you've been kind of peering through previously. And you hear Jolin kind of shout, and you're blind. You have no fucking idea what is going on. I am conflicted on whether or not to start initiative here, because it is just you two.
I mean, I'm assuming that
You guys would hear this. I'm just
we
trying to.
heard it.
Yeah.
I mean, Sven would definitely give out a bit of a yelp.
What would be your reaction when you get blinded? Like, what would be your first instinct to do?
Probably scramble backwards a little bit, and mainly just go, "Oh God!" Just
Give me a straight wisdom check to see if you can, like, pick the right path back.
it's a 4.
Okay, roll me a 1d4. 1 is north, 2 is east, 3 is south, 4 is west.
That's a 1.
Yeah, baby.
I hate
Yeah.
everything about this session I hate.
Oh my god, that could not have gone better.
I mean, we've got 2 like fresh out of college kids in your group.
I am aware.
I don't want to say it's what my character would do.
And you
because-
say 2, but I'm pretty sure we have 3 fresh out of college kids in this group. One of them's a bounty hunter.
Hey, the other one's a bard.
I mean, technically, I'm old as fuck, but my character.
Give me a wisdom saving throw.
16.
Good. Okay.
Now, if I recall correctly, you said 1 is north, meaning I'm like
Yeah.
flopping into the room.
I am going to go ahead and do this because it is very thematic and turn your vision off.
I hate it. Thank you.
But you do stumble into the room.
I'm
Okay.
just blinded, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna
What
get
is your
myself
AC?
blinded. Currently 16.
Yeah, you did cast mage armor before we came down.
Okay.
Mhm.
Misses. Okay. All right. So, Sven, as you are blasted by this blinding light, and you're kind of like stagger a little bit, and then your immediate reaction is to like get away in the confusion as you like maybe try and turn towards Jolan, and then you're like, no, that's where Jolan is. I'll turn this way, and you don't quite do a 180. You do a 90, and you go barreling forward, and you know you immediately messed up as you step and you feel your foot hitting that like fleshy, wet, fat-filled carpet that had been kind of rolled out. And as you hear that squelch kind of following your footstep, this indescribably grotesque symphony of noises begins to pick up. The sound of large pores opening and then popping and then sealing begin to fill your ears. The mouths that had not covered you in this blinding spittle start to basically lull open, and you just hear this like and you just feel all of the fear and terror. I just ruined my voice so bad. As the creature in front of you, as you cannot see. Oh wait, does blinded give you advantage if something attacks you?
I'll
I
have
think
to
it's just
double-check that one.
disadvantage on attack rolls, but I could be wrong.
Should have looked it up before I
Let's see. Oh god damn it! It's not Rick and Morty.
Attack rolls against the creature have advantage. Okay,
Mm.
well, let me see
And-
if he hits.
So it is both ways.
Ooh, you miss. As you step forward, kind of still trying to get your bearings, you feel a heavy mass just kind of slap onto your shoulder, and you feel the different mouths trying to like get purchase, like gripping a little bit of your shirt and like pulling on it, or I guess your robe, as it can't quite get to your flesh, and it's still trying to find purchase, as you're just kind of like trying to shove it away from you. I think now I'd probably go ahead and start initiative. We are very close to the end of the session. So is everyone in agreement to call it here?
I mean, I delayed it for a few minutes. I got no problem going over.
Up to y'all, yeah.
I think it's going to get messy if we try, because it's going to be a lot of moving and
I don't
a
think
lot's
this is
going to
be a
happen.
short combat
Yeah.
session.
I'd be down to roll initiatives just so we know
Sure, yeah, we'll do that
what
real
order
quick.
we're going into.
So we can plan that first round for the next few days.
Yep. Everyone give me initiative.
Gosh, I hate everything about this.
That's an 8.
You did better. You didn't do as bad as, or you did better than me. No, you did worse than me. I'm like 10. I rolled an 8.
13. Sven.
14.
Okay. So it is Sven, Quinn, Brainu, and Thomas. All right. And that is where we will end today's session.